This is Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remis.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Great to have you all with us. Big edition of WST today. Welcome to the program. Andrew Paterson, Michael Remis. We got to break down another tough result, but a much better played game for the Winnipeg Jets last night at Canada Life Center in their 4-3 loss to the Dallas Stars. Boston here tomorrow. And it's been a minute since we've had some really good Jet news, but we had some great ones. Darren Drager reporting yesterday that Connor Hellebuyck's return is days, not weeks. And then lo and behold, who was out stopping pucks today at the Jets optional? The reigning Hart Trophy winner, Connor Hellebuyck. We're going to get to that. Connor Hrabchak for WST was down at the rink today. Also to hear from Commissioner Gary Bettman. So we'll have Connor jump on the program. Ken Wiebe, of course, was down there. We'll jump into a whole myriad of Jets topics with Ken. We'll also talk Olympics and more with Matt Larkin of Daily Faceoff. And we'll check in with John Hodge before the end of the program. Today is Wednesday, December 10th, and that means it's WST Poker Night, everybody. 8 p.m. tonight, Coolbet.com. Our first Costa Rica qualifier happens. Now, this is going to be a regular tournament, $30 entry, $100 bounty on myself, Michael Remis, Jeff Hamilton's heads. But if you finish in the top 4, you will get a ticket for the Costa Rica final on January 12th. And the winner of that tourney will accompany myself and Hammer to the Costa Rica Poker Festival at the end of January. So, everyone that's played before, you know how it rolls. We'll see you at 8 p.m. If you haven't, you can take a look at our socials. We'll be posting some stuff on details. But all you really need to know is sign up at Coolbet if you haven't already. When you go to Coolbet.com, click on poker. When you get the poker up and running, go into tournaments and then search WST. It'll pop up. Get in there for tonight. 8 p.m. Central. It'll look a little different because this is it's out of Europe that it's based, that it's set up in. But 8 o'clock, we get going tonight. Looking forward to seeing you all. And good luck to everyone in trying to qualify for the Costa Rica final. 2 other dates that you can get in if you can't make it tonight. Monday, December 22nd. And the last chance qualifier, Wednesday, January 7th. And again, the final will be on Monday, January 12th. Big thanks to Coolbet for their great support of WST. And, of course, all of our other sponsors that make the show happen each and every day. Our friends at Princess Auto, Chud's Power Sports. Might have to drop our NHL Power Poll this week. Of course, Clean Line, Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical. Rolly's Transfer, St. Vital Dental Center, Canadian Club, Uptown Alley, Manitoba Battery, Boston Pizza, Royal Sports, Little Brown Jug. We'll get to a why not question of the day for Not AutoCorp at Waverly and McGillivray. And, of course, break it down with all of your fan feedback for fansfirst.ca. Michael Remis, what's going on?
Hey, we're here doing another show. Feels like we have a lot to discuss. Winnipeg Jets lost again yesterday, but lost in better fashion than it was on Saturday against Edmonton or last week against Buffalo. You saw elements of Winnipeg Jets hockey that we've known for the last year and a bit here. And you have to wonder, okay, are they going to be able to continue that into Thursday's game against Boston? We did have Gary Bettman in the house following their Board of Governors meetings. He's here checking it out, talking about the Heritage Classic that was just announced, Olympic participation that came up. So excited to have Gary Bettman here. And NHL season underway. It's a holiday, into December. So we got this homestand here. Nice to have the Jets, what Mark Scheifele mentioned after the game, sleeping in your own bed, having a practice. I think you saw that jump in their step yesterday. Didn't get the result. We'll see how it shakes out tomorrow night against Boston team. This is a pretty tough homestand, but they need to bank some wins here as they're currently sitting out of a playoff spot.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the loss last night drops them to 500. And NHL 500 gets you 82 points, which probably means you're missing the playoffs by 13, 14, 15 points. So, I mean, again, we're not even at the halfway point, but the Winnipeg Jets need to start going in the right direction. And I will say this, the way the team played last night certainly was a step forward. I just saw Phyllis in the chat saying, "Hi, Huss. Feeling better today with the way the boys played last night." And listen, I get it, and I'm the one that says it all the time. This is a results-based business. You got to find a way to win. They weren't able to do that last night. But, Reem, when you think about some of the recent performances and the struggles of the Winnipeg Jets, that by no means are over, this was a far, far better performance, effort from the team. And as Dan, Jets fan, said, we got pushback last night. This would have been a game that it would have been very easy for the Jets to crumble. Listen, it was a really ugly start. I think it was 1-0 before they basically touched the puck. But I thought that they solidified themselves through that first period, had some great chances, got a lot of pucks on net and some shots that had not been there lately. And then they got by the best power play in the league right now, or at least amongst them. I think Dallas came in at 31 or 32%. That number went up last night because they scored twice. And that third goal that went in, I mean, could have been a killer. But I think we saw that this team is not willing to just lay down. And in particular, I mean, Scheifele, Connor last night, more brilliance as we've seen all year long go. And I do worry, and I had this conversation with some friends after the game, is that, we're basically looking at, a career year for Mark Scheifele. And this will get into our conversations about the Olympic team. I think he's, consistently played at a level that hopefully will have earned him a spot on that team. But also, we're kind of wasting these performances right now. And that just goes to the lack of secondary scoring, which didn't really come around from the forwards last night, although Big Stan got back on the scoreboard last night, closing the gap to 1 in the third period. And, they fought right till the end. I didn't like the power play at the end of the game. It was a glorious opportunity, a dumb play by Mikko Rantanen. Handed the Jets a power play, down 1 with 2.5 minutes left. And they never really were able to, generate much, even really get into the zone. That was disappointing. But for a team that has been plagued by being on the wrong end of most of the 5-on-5 play lately, to play the way they did at 5-on-5 against the Dallas Stars was a step forward. Special teams killed them last night, Remis, but I think it's something that they can build on. And for a team that had been lacking confidence, had been lacking, had been lacking a lot, to be frank, as of late. I think you can look at last night's game and feel better about the way the team played. But again, there's not a lot of silver linings when you're in the slump the team is until you actually get a win, and their next chance to do that will be tomorrow night.
Yeah, I haven't had a win against a team over the playoff line since Pittsburgh. It was in late November, but the Jets did have some strong play at 5-on-5. They got down early, which wasn't ideal, but hey, you mentioned they had some pushback and the penalty kill. It's been tough allowing shorthanded goals, power play goals in 6 straight games. And the Dallas power play, which we talked about yesterday with Owen Newkirk, and he wasn't kidding. How many weapons do they have? Heiskanen up top, Robertson, Wyatt Johnson, Mikko Rantanen, Roope Hintz. Incredible skill there, and you saw it on the first one and on the second one too. Robertson, he doesn't miss those. So, you like the way they battled back, came within a goal. Big Stan. This kind of is the symbol of the season. He's got 4 goals, Huss. That's more than everyone at 5-on-5 except for the guys on the top line, Connor, Scheifele, Velarde, and which is crazy. I mean, congrats to Stan on having a great season. I mean, he's really putting up the numbers, but you'd like to see someone else up there in terms of goals. But Scheifele and Connor absolutely carrying this team. Scheifele 38 points in 29 games, on pace for a career high. And he's 8th in the NHL in scoring, and Kyle Connor 37 in 29. He's just behind him in 12. Like, these guys are having incredible seasons, almost being wasted because you can't. I mean, they can help you score 2-3 goals a night, but they need someone else to chip in with one because you don't have Connor Hellebuyck, who can allow 2 or less more often than not. Eric Comrie, he's doing his best, but he's not an NHL starting goalie. He's doing what he can back there. And some of those last night, I mean, on the power play ones, like that Robertson goal, the net's wide open. It's tough. It is the power play ones. It's tough.
I mean, listen, that's a great team that the Jets played last night. And as much as the Jets won the President's Trophy and had a hard-fought series against them last year in the playoffs, when you look at where the Jets are right now, I mean, it's not in the class of Colorado or Dallas. But they played with those guys last night. And I think that, knowing what they have done in the past, most of the players on this team, obviously there's some new players that have been struggling that have come in the offseason, which has been discussed extensively. They got closer to what they can and need to be on a daily basis. And, the hope is that, they can take another step forward, get a win against Boston and get a bit of a run. But that's a test, man. I mean, like this Dallas Stars team, if it wasn't for the Colorado Avalanche, we'd be talking about that team as the class of the league right now. And unfortunately for Winnipeg and everyone else in the Central Division, those teams and the Wild, who have been great this year after a tough first couple weeks, have really been the best teams in the NHL. So the Jets now at 14-14-1 will play their 30th game of the season against Manitoba's Morgan Geekie, who's had an unbelievable start to the season. 22 goals right now, I believe, in 31 games for the Manitoba native. They're in town tomorrow night. But Remo, the best news of all, as we've gone through this tough time without Connor Hellebuyck, some legit insider info on insider trading yesterday. I was blown away. Darren Dreger reporting that Connor Hellebuyck feels great, was pushing to try to play this week, which sounded insane to me. And to quote Dregs, his return is days away as opposed to weeks away, which was certainly music to the ears of any Winnipeg Jet fan. And then lo and behold, who was out there taking shots in the net today at practice? And I don't see 4 yellow jerseys like Arnie referenced that he'd be wearing once he got onto the stage. He looks like he's just in a regular goalie gear. But man, listen, this is no shade at Eric Comrie. I mean, the points that they got last week against Buffalo and Montreal, I thought were almost solely on his shoulders. But they need Connor Hellebuyck back in the net. And it looks like that's going to happen sooner as opposed to later, even better than what we always thought was the best case scenario of a return after the Christmas break in time for the Wild to play here on the 27th.
Yeah, this seems, I was shocked to see that report that he wants to play, this weekend? It came out on November 21, November 23, that he was going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. And it's currently December 10th. So this seems like very ahead of schedule. And you like to hear that. And what they were talking last week, Scott O'Neill saying, oh, he's got movement. And I was like, okay, like how long is this going to be? Seems like a lot more than movement if he's on the ice. So, and yeah, Eric Comrie's great in a backup role. He's had really good games and he did steal points, but there's only one reigning league MVP, and it is Connor Hellebuyck. And you have to wonder, on the stretch here, like if he's been in the net, maybe they do steal a couple. It doesn't excuse the way that they've played. That just shows you how good he is, that he can get you a couple wins when you're not playing at your best. And what a boost it would be for the team to have number 37 in the net, Huss. So looking great. And yeah, I was expecting like yellow, Marc-Andre Fleury style yellow pads, yellow jersey. But as you said, this is a heritage practice jersey. It looks pretty good.
Yeah, no doubt about it. but we mentioned Logan Stanley scoring last night. Shout out to the guys in the upper bowl that started the MVP chant after that goal. That was, I know, I'm sure a little bit of tongue in cheek, but it is cool to see the support that he's getting. I mean, he has been, and I'm not saying entirely unfairly, but a real target of a good portion of Jet fans, maybe some of the loudest Jet fans over the last number of years. And he's been playing solid and getting into some more offensive spaces to help the team, put something on the board, and did it last night at a very crucial time to pull the team within one after Dallas went up 4-2. Get this, Remis. Logan Stanley right now has as many goals in the season as Team Canada Olympian Braden Point.
No, come on. I know it's been a rough year for Point, and he was named to the team. They had to name, a certain number of members earlier. Oh, Stan, he's got 4 goals, 6 assists. He's 7th on the team in points. He's got more points than Taves, Iafallo, Nemesnikov, Nyquist, Pearson. He almost got as many points as Nyquist and Pearson combined, the two off-season acquisitions. So, Stan, he's always had that big shot. And he, the puck scored it out to him. He took one and was able to pounce on the rebound. And, he can certainly rip it. I think he's got a pretty heavy flex on that stick. So
yeah, well, and to
him.
his credit, the first shot obviously was stopped, but he followed it up and went to the net, banged in the rebound for a big play. And, he's playing with a little bit more confidence right now. But I just bring that up because at times people were really on him here on the program. I mean, on social media, we get all that. Logan Stanley has a lot of fans, a lot of people pulling for him to do well. I mean, maybe to walk back some of those takes. Some people not, they want him to do badly, so it'll prove them right for all these years. But, there hasn't been a lot of sort of really good stories around this season so far outside of the play of the top line. Stanley's been one of them, and, as I said, it was kind of a funny moment, but great to see him score a goal last night when the team needed it. Unfortunately, they weren't able to get another one. Let's just quickly hear from Coach Arniel after the game. Definitely felt better about the way his team played. Here's his teams have felt like the strong defensive play last night, which certainly was a step up from where they'd been recently.
The opposition giving up odd man rushes, and if you do that and you have numbers, the D can hold the lines. The D can be aggressive. The D can snuff out stuff long before you get it in your end of the rink. So there certainly was a lot better that way. We against a team that attacks pretty well. I thought we did a really good job of not allowing them to get into that.
And moving Gabe Vilardi to a different line is an opportunity for him to kind of drive other lines. How do you think he did in that regard?
You know what? I know I switched it at the end, just kind of, again, a little bit on the matchup stuff. But at the end of the day, we need other people to score in that line. When I think he was with Flatty and Fetz when they scored, when Stan scored. So, again, we're still going to need other people to step up. I really liked a lot of what happened tonight, but I still think there's more from other people. We're a team. When we're 20 guys, everybody has to be pulling their weight.
Coach Arniel on the defensive play last night. Now, I think we all agree that, maybe at the beginning of the season, you didn't imagine the Jets being in this situation, but here they are in a dogfight with about a half dozen teams to try to get into one of those wild card spots right now. They're up against it, and they are in one right now. And their situation, should create a team that plays with a real sense of urgency. And I think we felt that last night. That maybe hadn't been there in recent games, especially on the road. Here's what Arniel had to say about the Jets playing with that sense of urgency.
I think there's a threat of the opposition and how good of a team they are, and we know what they're doing right now. Just being responsible and not to the first question, not allowing the odd man rushes to happen. But our pressure on them, I thought, was helped an awful lot. Our forecheck was really good. We didn't spend a lot of time. I know we made a couple of mistakes, ended up in our net. The first one at the start of the game, and then obviously the one in the second. But for the most part, we did a really good job of defending when we didn't have the puck. puck, and that has to be more of what we look like as a group.
And then when it comes to kind of the mindset, how do you balance as a group the urgency of wanting to get those points in whatever fashion, but also still acknowledging the steps that you're taking in these types of games?
Yeah, I mean, you'd like these steps to be, against that opponent, a win. But at the end of the day, I can't knock the guys on the work ethic to compete. That was there, and I knew it was going to have to be. But we got to do that against Boston. It can't be just because it was Dallas and they're in our division. It has to be a constant from everybody, and that's what I'm going to try to harp on for the next couple of days here.
Coach Arneal, I believe that was Danielle Bain. Some good stuff from her last night in the scrum. Listen, what was problematic was that Dallas power play last night, as we mentioned. Here's Arnie's thoughts on Jets penalty killing last night.
I hate saying a rough stretch type thing, but there's mistakes that happen too. That obviously that's a real good power play. Both of them, I think we got caught on the length. We were stuck out there tired, and then it's more of a pack mentality. You kind of drop back on it. You got to kind of stay tighter in the net. So the hard part is we didn't get any clears when we needed to, and then. Just when your penalty killers are that tired and you have a good power play, they're going to move the puck around, and as we did on ours, we caught their penalty killers tired at the end, and it needs to be better. That was a heck of a game for us, and to give up 2 PK goals, it's the difference.
Scott Arneal on what was the difference in the game, just being on the wrong end of the special teams battle in a game the Jets fared pretty well at 5-on-5. Mark Scheifele, I mean, what a stud. Guy's having a career year, looking to cement his spot on Team Canada. 2 more goals last night for a team leading 16. Here's what Scheifele had to say about last night.
I thought we played great. That's obviously a...
So, yeah, you want to just play the odds right out of this?
Game that we like our games. So, obviously it was nice to get 2 days of rest before this one. So we just got to, look at that one, look what worked, and keep doing that.
Just frustrated weren't able to maybe get the equalizer there with the power play and the goalie out. They looked like they made it kind of tough to really get set up.
Yeah, they did. They're, that's something they're good at. That's an opportunity we need to get one, at least get some chances there. So it sucked we didn't.
Hey, folks, with the holidays here, many of you are looking to gather with friends and family, people coming in from out of town. Maybe you're getting together for something fun with people from the office. Why don't you head down to Uptown Alley in 1301 St. Matthews and take advantage of all the amazing options for fun that Todd, Nate, and the gang have waiting for you down at Uptown Alley. 5-pin bowling, 10-pin bowling, laser tag, an incredible arcade. Those fun carnival games where you can win prizes, win tickets to exchange for great prizes. And what a lot of people don't know is the incredible food and beverage options waiting for you at Uptown Alley. Now, listen, if you want to plan a party or an event, just give them a call at 488-0000. For group and corporate events, just pick your activities, pick your meal and what you want to eat, any add-ons, and their events team will help together put to a schedule and take care of everything else. They're also the best place if you are planning birthday parties for kids, teens, or adults. They've got the Bowl and Play special, the daily deal after 9 p.m. every day. And, of course, they've also got gift cards, which the gift of fun is always perfect for the stocking or under the tree. So while you get ready to cross off everything on that Christmas list, not only pop down to take advantage of the good times at Uptown Alley, but give the gift of good times with Uptown Alley gift cards this Christmas. They're waiting for you at 1301 St. Matthews Avenue and online at uptownalley.ca. If you're moving into 2026, our friends at Rolly's Transfer would love to help you take as much of the stress out of the moving experience as possible. We all know what that can be like. Rolly's, family owned and operated, and the most trusted name in moving in Manitoba. Check them out online at Rollies.com, and in the top right corner, click on Request an Estimate. Put in the promo code WST for a special discount on moving services and moving supplies. Then simply let them know when and where you're planning on moving, what needs to go. They'll turn it around with a great quote and get you locked in for the white glove treatment that Rolly's Transfer has been famous for. Now into their 7th decade. For all your moving needs, lean on the most trusted name in the game, Rolly's Transfer. Find out more, request an estimate today over at Rollys.com. If you do need your grill worked on, Dr. Terry and the great people at St. Vital Dental Center have been getting rave reviews from WSTers that have popped in there. Now, St. Vital Dental Center has been serving generations of Winnipeggers and Manitobans. And now have a beautiful new facility at 167 St. Anne's with state-of-the-art equipment and convenient free parking right behind the building, serving clients from 6 months to 99 plus with a full array of dental services from cleanings and checkups all the way to things like dental implants. They can do it all. Find out more online, make an appointment, pop in and see Dr. Terry and the gang at St. Vital Dental Center online at stvitaldental.ca, and make sure to tell them that you're ready for the marble race on Friday afternoon and the boys at Winnipeg Sports Talk sent you. And just before we head down to Dallas, as we mentioned, there's lots of planning for the holidays coming up over the next little bit. I'm certain that many of you will be popping into your local Manitoba liquor marts. When you do, check out the Canadian Club display. We're going to get to the Bomber schedule and look ahead to next season. There still is a few limited quantities of those Blue Bomber. It's limited edition label bottles, which is a great gift for a Blue Bomber fan or just for entertaining in and around the holidays. And while you're talking Canadian Club at the holidays, make sure to keep your eyes out for the limited edition Canadian Club Cranberry Ginger Ale. Right now, in stores and on shelves for the holidays, the great taste of Canada's iconic Canadian whiskey, along with cranberry and ginger ale, pre-mixed cocktails in cans. You can pick it up in 4-packs or 473 milliliter cans at your local Manitoba liquor marts or beer vendors, and then simply crack it, pour over ice, and enjoy. Happy holidays from Canadian Club. And reminder to all of you to do it safely and to never drink and drive. All right, let's get more on what's happening down at the rink today. The commish and Bill Daly in the house. All of that dwarfed by the appearance of Connor Hellebuyck, the reigning Hart Trophy winner, on the ice. Our own Connor Hrabchak was down covering it all for WST and joins us now from the rink. First of all, you look very nice today, young man. Ready for like a Christmas party? I guess you had to do it up with the commission town.
Yes, had to, Huz. Had to bring my best with the commissioner in town today. But yeah, like you said, I was not expecting a Connor Hellebuyck appearance today, but I'm sure that's exactly what Jets fans wanted to see as he was out there for the Jets optional skate.
Well, I mean, first off, after the program yesterday, on the way to the game, my phone started blowing up shortly after the TSN Insider Trading segment, and Darren Dreger dropping the fact that Hellebuyck feels great, wanted to play this week, and that his return is a matter of days as opposed to weeks. And Connor, goes without saying, I mean, Eric Comrie, listen, in my opinion, kind of stole 3 points last week for the Winnipeg Jets, but this is a very different team with Connor Hellebuyck in the net. And considering the recent struggles of the Winnipeg Jets, this is a little bit of an early Christmas miracle that is music to the sound of Winnipeg Jet fans' ears.
Absolutely, Huss. And yeah, even with that Darren Dreger report that you mentioned that I heard as well, I still wasn't expecting, Connor Hellebuyck to be on the ice maybe this soon with his teammates taking shots. And, I found it funny. Scott O'Neill kind of mentioned, when players come back from injuries, it's getting them into contact and stuff like that. And with a goalie, like, I don't know, you take shots and that's it. You can't really prepare them for getting bowled over if that happens in a game, I just don't think that's something that you can practice per se. But Connor Hellebuyck's still, a few days away. This is the first time he has taken shots at all. He was on the ice 45 minutes before the Jets got out there for their optional skate. So he was doing his on-ice movements, taking shots from the players, and now it's about building. And Scott O'Neill said the biggest thing is how he responds to a day on the ice like today and taking those shots. So it's going to be big to see how Connor Hellebuyck, feels after this and the next couple of days. But I still don't know if he's going to be playing Saturday night on Hockey Night in Canada or anything like that. But maybe look for next week where Connor Hellebuyck, still maybe earlier than some people expected, could make his return to the lineup.
Yeah, listen, the Jets have Boston tomorrow. We don't expect them for that game. Washington on Saturday still would seem I mean, way early. I mean, keep in mind, I mean, we were sort of working out like this 4 to 6 week timetable as most likely a return, kind of best case scenario being the 27th against the Minnesota Wild coming out of the Christmas break, which would be right around 5 weeks. I mean, the fact that we're talking about potentially 3 weeks is huge. But I mean, if that's the case, whether it's next Monday, of course, Wednesday they'll hit the road. By the way, we'll be doing our holiday watch party at Boston Pizza Kenniston. Would love to see Hrabchak in the net for that one against the St. Louis Blues. But listen, Connor, I'd imagine that news combined, despite a disappointing loss last night, with the way the team played, which especially at 5-on-5 was much better than we've seen as of late. It does feel like there's a little bit more optimism around this hockey club going into tomorrow night's second game of the homestand against the Bruins.
It definitely does, Huss. And whether that's, them being on the ice, being, communicating more, just the overall skate being louder and players having more fun, or, we talked to Cole Perfetti and he talked about that as well. How do you balance the fact that you're probably happy with how the Winnipeg Jets played, but you didn't get any results? How many games went to overtime just last night? I think 4 Western Conference teams picked up a loser point. And it's like the Winnipeg Jets playing one of their better 5-on-5 games of the month, the last month and a half, don't get anything to show for it against a very good opponent as well. So mixed feelings here from the Winnipeg Jets and the players here at today's optional practice. And some of the players that didn't or did play big minutes last night, like Kyle Connor and Josh Morrissey, did not take part in the optional skate. Scott O'Neill said, nothing to worry about there, just maintenance. They played big minutes last night, giving them the day off. But when it comes to this Winnipeg Jets group, they're happy with how they played last night. And Scott O'Neill's happy with how his forecheck looked, how the defensive structure looked, how they played at 5-on-5 overall. Not so happy with the penalty kill, their power play. And he said what has escaped them so far this season has been the consistency. So they've put together good 1-game stretches before, but it's about that second game. And Scott O'Neill really wants to see his players lean on Boston on Thursday, lean on Washington on Saturday, and do the same for Ottawa on Monday, and kind of string some games together here where maybe you get the result, maybe you don't, but either way, you're getting back to that 5-on-5 style that we've become accustomed to seeing from the Winnipeg Jets over the past number of years.
Yeah, I mean, it's entirely necessary if they want to win games in the National Hockey League. I mean, it just hadn't been cutting it. And it's funny, Connor, I'm interested in your perspective on this. I mean, you were at the game last night in the press box. I was down in the seats. I was really wondering, coming off that last road trip and the way that the team played on Saturday night, albeit they were at home on Friday night and got that win, in a big game like that against Dallas, with the early goal, with the 2 early ones to go down 3-0 in the second period, I was sort of wondering what the mood in the arena would be like as that game went on. And partly because I think it was very clear how hard the Jets were working to try to get this thing moving in the right direction. But I will say this, I thought the crowd was awesome last night in really doing everything they could to get behind the team last night. And, as I said, it's a tough loss to one of the 2 best teams in the National Hockey League. And at some point they won't go your way. They don't have a lot of other nights like that coming forward. I mean, they need to get the result. But I kind of feel like there was a bit of a reset over those last couple days, both for the team, for the fans that were behind the team at the game last night. And you really hope that they can build on that into a game tomorrow night against a Boston team that has, I think, surprised a lot of people with their first 30.
100%, Huss. And it's funny you mentioned, the crowd and the feeling in the building. Like, the Jets were down 3-0, and it was really quiet in that building. At least that's what I felt up in the press box. And their ability to come back, Mark Scheifele scoring a couple identical goals from the left circle, one-timers, like those looked exactly the same. That got the crowd back into it. And then the third period, Huss, Dallas starts the period opening with that goal to make it 4-2, and Logan Stanley gets the Jets back within 1. From that point to the end of the game, the Jets were really pressing, and I know fans in the chat probably aren't happy with how the empty net sequence went with the power play, and the Jets are well aware of that. But the Jets were really pressing, and they were the better team in the final 10 minutes looking for that equalizer. And you could tell, the fans were applauding for hard work, for the forecheck looking like it itself, and the chances that the Winnipeg Jets were generating. So I do think the mood overall around the team, around the fan base, all across the board is just up after today, which is weird to say after a regulation loss. But look, Dallas is now 21-5-5 on the season. They have an unreal duo in special teams, both their power play and penalty kill, up near the top of the NHL. They have a lot of ways that they can win games. And one of those ways is exactly what they did to the Jets last night, lean on their special teams and lean on their goaltender, who was Casey DeSmith, not Jake Ottinger. But that's why Dallas is so good. And the Jets are going to have to take a page out of their book and find ways to win games without Connor Hellebuyck, and even when Connor Hellebuyck comes back here over the next month or so.
Well, listen, I mean, a big reason why Dallas is where they are right now is that they, like the Jets last year, are getting big-time performances from their backup while their number one excels. DeSmith's numbers are better than Ottinger's so far this season, and I thought he was really good last night. But again, I mean, the one regret, and we heard it from Scott Arneal just a minute ago, was the special teams battle. Now, easier said than done. I mean, that Dallas power play is clicking probably at about 33% now after last night. I mean, and they made it look easy at times. But the PK, the real regret, I think, on the Jets side was just not being able to do more with that glorious opportunity they were gifted by Mikko Rantanen with 2.5 minutes left. I thought they maybe waited a little long to get Eric Comrie out. But the bottom line was they really weren't able to establish themselves in the zone. And that's something that, in special teams can be a very big difference between getting a point and maybe two, and wishing that you'd been able to just get that one more chance like last night.
Yeah, exactly, Huss. And on nights where the Winnipeg Jets didn't have their best 5-on-5 game last season, that's what they did to other teams. They had a goalie that was awesome. They maybe went 2 for 4 on the power play, and they got a point or two. Like, that's what the Jets did last year when they didn't have their best 5-on-5 game. But as we know, they were pretty darn good at 5-on-5 as well. So this year, it's more about piecing together, at least in my opinion, getting a game from the power play that might steal you a point or two, and then playing a good 5-on-5 game and getting that consistent and kind of doing patchwork as the season goes on here. And you get Connor Hellebuyck back, so you'll get some very, very elite level goaltending performances and all of those things. So the Jets are well aware of, how that empty net sequence went, how their power play performed last night, 0 for 4. And they're looking to avenge that on Thursday against Boston and hopefully get at least a point, if not two, to kind of get the right mood, get the right things going for the result, or get the result for how they played last night. That was a massive word fumble there from me, but They played well last night. The 5-on-5 was their special teams burned them, but they didn't get the result. They want to play that way and get the result and get that good feeling back in the room.
You know what? Just before we talk about it, let's just hear quickly from Commissioner Bettman, who was in town and spoke today at Canada Life Center. Remo, if you can, fire up Gary's opening remarks from today, if you wouldn't mind.
I don't know if you have any opening remarks or...
Sure, why not?
Okay.
I'm not going to break any news, but it's good to be here. We always enjoy our trips here. As you know, we recently announced the Tim Hortons State Heritage Classic, which will be played on October 28th, and we're very excited about that. And I think that'll be the Jets' third outdoor game. And we know the fans here are terrific, and it'll be a great event. We're having a terrific season on and off the ice, and as I think you know, we just completed a couple of days with the Board of Governors in Colorado Springs, and everything's good. You want to add anything?
No.
See, that's how good things are.
There's Gary Bettman and Bill Daly. Gary Bettman doing the speaking. Here's just one more clip on the upcoming event. Here's Bettman on why another Heritage Classic and why another one right here in the PEG at Princess Auto Stadium.
Any time's a good time, and we try and move it around. It'll be the second game we played here. We played one in Saskatoon. Regina. And so, keeping the Jets top of mind and putting them out front is always a good thing to do, and it's great for the fans. It's to have a major event where you can connect with your fans, particularly in a market as hockey-centric as Winnipeg. We're thrilled to do it again.
And it's a great facility there, and as you probably know, we have challenges in Canada finding facilities that can host these games. This one was fantastic.
So, Connor, Heritage Classic coming. Gary in a great mood. Bill Daly talking. Having been to the first one, the venue for an outdoor game ideal. And this is going to be something we'll be able to look forward to over the course of the next 10 months or so before late October when the Bombers finish their season on the road for their last 2 games and the NHL takes over.
Yeah, Gary Bettman, obviously excited. I think a little too excited, Huss, because he got the day wrong. It's not October 28th. It's going to be October 25th, 2026, when the Jets take on the Montreal Canadiens at Princess Auto Stadium. But yeah, he referenced it, the Saskatoon, or see, I got it wrong because he got it wrong. Don't blame that on me. The Regina one, I was there, trust me. The Regina one was such a success with both of those 2 teams coming, in the middle and the prairies there. And then the one here in 2016, the Jets didn't score a goal in that game, as we all know, but the alumni game was awesome. And the event, the sun got in the way and delayed it a little bit. He was even asked about that as well. And they said they'll consult with meteorologists. They'll take everything into account. But I think the success of both of those outdoor games is what is bringing the Heritage Classic back to Winnipeg. And look, the Bombers, they have a sellout streak going at Princess Auto Stadium. I don't know if we'll be able to tick this one off as well, but no doubt in my mind that whether it's an alumni game or the real game, the fan support for this is going to be incredible.
All right, great stuff. We'll maybe have a little bit more from the commish. He did talk on the future of the Winnipeg Jets records and the excitement about the Olympics as well. We'll get into that with Ken when he joins us a little later on. Connor, great stuff. Of course, if you want more on last night's game, we've got the post-game report, which is up on the YouTube channel and on the podcast feed. And we'll do it all again tomorrow. Big game day report coming up after the morning skate. Hopefully maybe a little update on our goaltender. And a big one tomorrow night against the Boston Bruins. Looking sharp, my man. Thanks for doing this, and have a great rest of the day.
Thanks, Huss. Appreciate it. Yeah, and stay glued to our socials as well. At Sports Talk WPG, I'm going to have a reel up on Gary Bettman. You guys are going to get into it. I'm going to post it online on the Gary Bettman talking about the records, and I'm also going to have a practice report from today and a game day report tomorrow. So lots of coverage here. We'll have you covered on the WST socials.
Love it. Keep it up, pal. Lots kicking over on the socials and right here on Winnipeg Sports Talk with Connor Hrabchak on the Winnipeg Jets beat. All right, we will talk more exclusively Jets in about 20 minutes or so with Ken Wiebe. But let's welcome in Matt Larkin from Daily Faceoff. The countdown to the Olympics is on. Whether they're going to happen as planned, I guess, is the first question. And then has our guy like Mark Scheifele done enough to put him on the team? Let's talk some international hockey in the upcoming Olympics and more around the NHL right now with our pal Matt Larkin from Daily Faceoff. Matty Hollywood himself, Matt Larkin of Daily Faceoff. What's going on, Matt? How are you?
Hustler, it's good to see you, buddy. And for anybody watching right now, Matty Hollywood, it was my old online dating moniker, but it popped up on my computer screen. I didn't know it was there, so we were having a laugh before the show started.
What a handle!
Hey, what's wrong with it?
Hey, listen, I'm a big nickname guy, as you can imagine. So, no, I'm in full support of the. It's going to be tough for me not to always call you Matty Hollywood now from now on, to be perfectly honest.
Hey, it's okay. My wife's uncle calls me that exclusively, so we're good.
How are things going over at Daily Faceoff these days? He's just about ready to hand the keys over to Ellis. He joined us yesterday. He's locked and loaded for the World Juniors.
Yeah, it's great for me, to have a coworker who always works during the holidays because it's World Junior time. So I know I can trust him if I need to get a little bit of R&R here and there during that NHL roster freeze. But no, we're good. We're excited for the tourney and lots of Olympic hype. We got the roster deadline submissions December 31st, assuming they are going to play at all. But there's so much to hype and so much to discuss. And we're getting to a fun time of year. I always find first couple months of the NHL season, I call them the real dog days because every storyline is too fresh. You don't want to overreact to what's happening when the standings change all the time. But we're getting closer to, I think, a point in the season where the stakes get a little higher. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, well, we're feeling it here in Winnipeg right now. The Jets have been really up against it without Connor Hellebuck and, played a hell of a lot better than they have in recent weeks last night against Dallas. But they need some results right now, and a big one coming up against the Bruins. But let's focus in on, the story in and around the hockey world right now. The Olympic Games, we've waited over 10 years for best on best, and now the rink might not be ready. Matty, I know you're talking to people on a daily basis. How freaked out are the shot callers that have been involved in putting this together that we are where we are right now with the facility for the Olympic Games?
Yeah, the whole thing has been fascinating to me. I think the reason why it hits such a nerve with fans especially is that there's a trauma, right? From, you look at 2018, Pyeongchang, players didn't go, no deal. 2022, they were going to go, but the Omicron variant of the coronavirus hit and everyone had to pull out. So I think there's a fear that it's going to happen again, and we got a taste of best on best with the Four Nations face-off, but true best on best, we haven't seen it since 2014, and everyone wants it so badly, and it feels like this thing is suddenly threatening to slip through our fingers. To me, what the big question is whether everything the NHL is saying, is it real or is it posturing? So, for example, Hustler, Bill Daly, Deputy Commissioner, tells me last week, if the rink's not ready, we're not playing. And the natural response is, well, could you not find a contingency? I think maybe the NHL can, but they don't want to admit that. They want to keep the pressure on the people building the arena in Milan so that it gets done.
Well, that is my question. And I get it. I mean, they've sort of been shut out of this. They've offered to help to play a much bigger role. They said, no, it's the Olympic Games. We got it. And in true IOC form, they're not delivering on what they had said that they're going to do, and it's put the entire event in peril. But my question to you is what you were just speaking about. There has to be a backup plan, right? I mean, what are they going to do? Just shut the league down for 3.5 weeks and tell everyone to go to Mexico? I mean, they're so invested in this best on best. It's key for future World Cups, building off the incredible momentum of the Four Nations face-offs. Like, I mean, even if that rink is not ready, there has to be some other way to play a best on best tournament in February.
Yeah, I agree with you. And, some people will say, wait, are we sure? I mean, the NHL is not invested. They're not getting direct revenue from the gates at the Olympics. The owners usually are pretty cool on the idea. They don't want their players hurt, but it's not that simple. If you think of it from a labor relations standpoint, sending the players to the Olympics, that's a key concession made by the league towards the PA. The players desperately want to go. It's all they dream about. You saw the Kachucks on their podcast saying they'll go, they'll help finish building the arena if they can. They're going no matter what, even if the ice surface is not to specification. So it is very important just for the relationship, in my opinion, between the owners and the players. And it also is an opportunity to grow the game. I mean, we saw just how exciting it was at the Four Nations. That was an NHL sanctioned event, but just the degree to which it captured, I think, a larger audience than normal. It's a reminder of what the game can do when it's on that international high stakes level. So it has to happen. I don't think the NHL is going to admit anything. They're going to keep the poker face and say, hey, we're not going if we have nothing to play on. But there has to be a backup plan. It would be ludicrous if there wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. And I mean, I get that they're not going to say, hey, if this doesn't happen, if they can't get their act together, we're going to be doing it in Sweden and Finland, or we've got 4 arenas. I mean, listen, there will be a lot of NHL arenas that will be available, I would imagine, at that time. But the bottom line is we put so much into this. Hockey fans have been waiting for it. There's so much to be gained, I believe, for the National Hockey League, the NHLPA. We need this best-on-best tournament, and hopefully it can be in a well-run Olympic Games. But if not, I would imagine that have to be. Well, Gary Bettman and Bill Daly are here in the Peg today. And I know there'll be some questions on all of that. How much we get out of the NHL bigwigs, I guess, remains to be seen. But one thing that's not going to stop, Matt, regardless of what the report is on the rink, is people talking about who's in and who's out when it comes to the respective Olympic teams. I mean, listen, this has been 11 years in the making, as I mentioned. What percentage of the DFO group chat meetings is talking about the Olympics, and in particular, Canada's Olympic squad?
Yeah, I'd say a large percentage. We love doing it. Some people get sick of it. I never get sick of it. It's probably the single funnest thing I do, just building up these imaginary teams, these hypothetical teams. It's a forever talking point, and it never feels like work when we're doing it. And I think the storylines for Canada are particularly fascinating in terms of who's going to make that final cut, because at the forward position, you have, I think, this battle maybe between Connor Bedard and Macklin Celebrini. I have a feeling that it's going to be one or the other. You're not going to bring both kids. Maybe they've both forced the issue, but I'm not sure, because their games are not complete as defensive players, and Canada has so many good defensive forwards. If either of them is not going to play high enough in the lineup, well, are you going to go with someone like a Seth Jarvis, like an Anthony Cirelli, who can kill penalties and play more of a versatile role. So that's why I'm theorizing we're going to see one or the other. I think it's going to be Macklin Celebrini. That's really fascinating to me. We can get into it if you want, but also the goaltending position is just a mess for Canada. That to me is the number one topic.
Well, and that was the case going into Four Nations as well last year. We're talking about Celebrini. Well, I want to ask you about a few bubble guys. I mean, let's start off with the guy that we're most concerned about, Mark Scheifele. I mean, he has been phenomenal this year. I mean, while the team has struggled, the Jets have basically been a one-line team. Another couple goals last night. I heard Craig Button say if Mark Scheifele's not on the team, it'll be the biggest snub in forever. Has he done enough to get into the roster, at least, whether or not you're in that starting 12 for game one?
I think so. But again, it's so close right now, especially if I'm saying one of Bedard or Celebrini is going to make it. I think it's literally in a position where it could change by the week. My most recent projection, I did have Scheifele on the team as your 14th forward. I think that he brings something different, especially if you have him out there on the power play. He's one of the most accurate shooters of the last, 25 years. He's right up there with Leon Draisaitl, Steven Stamkos. He's very dangerous, and he doesn't necessarily need that many puck touches to do his damage. So I like that he brings a different element. I think he's right there. I think, obviously, if we're talking Jets, Josh Morrissey is a lock. And Scheifele, to me, is in a better position than he was for Four Nations. I think if I'm placing a bet right now, he makes it. But again, another good week from Bedard, a good week from, whether it's Horvat, he's another person who's on the bubble and having a great year. It could shift things. But again, placing a bet right now, I think Scheifele makes it.
Being in Boston for those final games of the Four Nations, the one constant amongst our group of Canadian fans was, man, we wish we had Tom Wilson on that team. This is a different tournament. It is the Olympic Games. It is not an NHL run Four Nations. But he's having another hell of a season, and he is a very different player amongst anybody else available to Team Canada. Do you think Tom Wilson ends up on Team Canada?
I think he does. So my most recent projection, the two main additions I had were Mark Scheifele and Tom Wilson. And I think it's Sam Bennett who gets bumped in terms of what Sam Bennett's role was. People can say, hey, he's a Conn Smythe Trophy winner, he's a Stanley Cup champion. Yes, that's true. But people forget he wasn't even in the starting lineup to open the Four Nations. He was a bubble guy last year, right? He was brought in. He was a healthy scratch for the first game, was brought in to battle the Americans, and he did an admirable job. He actually made an impact too when he got deeper into the tournament. But I think if you're splitting hairs between the two, Tom Wilson's playing at a higher level right now. He was playing at a high level last year too. He's backed it up. And he's scoring so much this year that it's not even bringing him in on the basis of, we're reacting to the bloody battle with USA last year. We need to bring in a blunt instrument. He's not even a blunt instrument solely right now. He's a sharp instrument too, because he's scoring and he can really move for a big guy. So if you're picking one or the other, Sam Bennett, I mean, he's even admitted it. He's not having a great year. Maybe he's played too much hockey in the last 3 years. So I lean toward Tom Wilson right now.
While you're talking about Bennett, is Marchand still on the team? Very unique player. Like the entire Florida Panthers have sort of been in neutral for this season. And I sort of get it going back to back for the Cup, but there's a lot of incentive for guys to be at their best. And I'm not sure he's been there, but they know what Brad Marchand brings when the chips are down.
Yeah, that's a tough one. My most recent projection, I did not have him on the team. I think last year in the tournament, I think his age showed. It was sort of in the dog days, it was in February. I think his body was slowing down. I felt like Brad Marchand had a hard time keeping up with the play at the Four Nations. But then obviously he goes out and has that amazing playoff run with Florida. He's been really good this year. He brings so much leadership. He's really close with Nathan McKinnon, Sidney Crosby. So I wouldn't be remotely surprised if he still does make the team, even just because of his intangibles. The problem is, who do you bump out? If Brad Marchand's on the team, does that mean Cirelli doesn't make it? Does that mean Nick Suzuki doesn't make it? Macklin Celebrini? There's just so much competition. So emotionally, it feels like he should be on this team. But if I just look at, I have my roster and my most recent projection in front of me, I'm looking at it right now, I just don't see who you pull out for Brad Marchand right now. So it's a really tough call.
You mentioned Celebrini and Bedard, who are both having absolutely brilliant seasons. I got to tell you, man, I haven't had as much fun watching a rookie in the NHL as I have Matthew Schaefer in a really long time. This kid is an absolute phenom, an amazing personality as well. He's gone from a long shot to win the Calder to a heavy favorite right now. and apparently is in the mix. I mean, the conventional wisdom has been that this blue line is going to be very similar to the Four Nations group. Is there room for a young 18-year-old that could be the future of the position for Canada to be on this year's team?
I think there should be. I know that Canada in big international tournaments has a history of playing it pretty safe with the kids. Obviously, Sidney Crosby in 2006 is the most notorious example. Steven Stamkos 2010. But Drew Doughty went in 2010. He was only 20 years old. He was a crucial part of that team that went to Vancouver. And if we're just asking the honest question, is Matthew Schaefer one of Canada's best 8 defensemen right now? Yes, he is. And to me, if I look at, for example, bumping out a Colton Parayko, I like that move, because to me, Parayko was the worst defenseman on the team at the Four Nations. If you look at the actual data of the scoring chances against, he had a tough go. I know he sort of casts a large shadow and he's big and strong, but he did not have a good tournament in that best on best action. And to me, what makes Schaefer stand out, obviously he is on fast forward at all times. He's an unbelievable skater. He's making a huge impact offensively, playing big minutes, but he's also being really good defensively. So if you factor that in, it's not like, oh, he's just a kid who's lighting up on the scoreboard, but still a problem on defense, like Lane Hudson, for example, last year, removed that from the equation because he's great defensively too. Then what is the reason to not take him other than he's a kid and we have to galaxy brain that? So I think he should be there.
Yeah, I would love to see him as part of the team. And, even if he plays a couple games and is out for a couple games, I think it would be great. And obviously good for long-term futures of Canada as well. Well, let's get to the goaltending because this is, it's so much fun to talk about our embarrassment of riches at all these other positions. And then you go, who's going to be stopping the puck? It's Logan Thompson and then everyone else, right?
It should be, but it's just not that simple. This is why the goalie debate is so fascinating. So if you look at the 3 guys that went last year, Jordan Binnington has been the worst goaltender in
brutal
this year. Sam Montembeault has been probably the second worst goaltender in the NHL this year. Aiden Hill is hurt. And from what I understand, he's still a month or so away from coming back. So do you have to hit the reset button? I don't think you do with Binnington because he came up big when he needed to. He made the big save in overtime. He's Doug Armstrong's guy. Binnington's still going. In terms of the other 2 positions, I think you got to take a good look at Mackenzie Blackwood in Colorado. His teammate Scott Wedgwood has been really good too. And why haven't I mentioned Logan Thompson yet? That's where it gets really strange. So we know Logan Thompson didn't even get a call for the Four Nations last year. He was very good last year, 4th in the Vezina vote. Was not even invited to the camp in the summer, coming off finishing 4th in the Vezina. He's been the best goaltender in the world this year, not just on Canada. He's been the best in the world. If you vote on the Vezina right now, Logan Thompson is winning it easily. And I don't even know if he's making the team because everything I've heard, everything that's been whispered out there is something personal with Logan Thompson and the Canada brass because Bruce Cassidy and Pete DeBoer, Canada assistant coaches, they were Vegas Golden Knights head coaches of Logan Thompson, and there was a clash there. So unless something changes, I haven't even had Logan Thompson on the team at all in my projections, which is crazy. The only question I have now, Hustler, is has Thompson played so well that they just have to let bygones be bygones? And okay, he's the best goalie in the world right now with Connor Hellebuyck hurt. How do you not take him? And if things go wrong in net and he's not even available as an option, you're going to get torn apart by Canadian fans and media. So I think it's silly, the idea of him not going, but everything I've heard so far suggests he's not.
This is a national team for the Olympic Games. There is a responsibility of the people that have been given the keys to make decisions in the best interest of the country and the team. You cannot put personal differences in the way of arguably the most important player at the most important position, the guy that, if it goes well, is going to be out there every minute of the game. And to your point, the results are what they are. He's been incredible. And it's not like we're sitting there with Hellebuyck and Ottinger and Swayman and all these other guys, and it's like, oh, who do you take off? We don't have anyone. This is the biggest no-brainer of the entire roster assembly, in my opinion, Matt.
Yeah, it should be. And it's not like, okay, fine. Let's say we accept this supposed premise that he's not a dressing room culture guy. I don't know if it's true. I'm just saying this is what's being whispered to me over the last year. Let's say we accept that. Is it going to matter in a dressing room with Sidney friggin' Crosby and Nathan McKinnon? Is
2 weeks.
Logan Thompson going to disrupt the chemistry? The guy who's spending the entire game by himself, not on the bench, if he's starting? it's just ludicrous to me. It's overthinking it. And I would say, no, this is silly. This is a silly conspiracy theory. But if that were the case, then why was he not even invited to the camp? So we know it's a thing. It's just a matter of, has he played so well and have Canada's Four Nations guys fallen so far by the wayside that they can no longer deny him at this point?
The lore of Logan Thompson in particular as it pertains to the Vegas Golden Knights is a wild one. I mean, when you consider, we were all there in the Sphere, and this dude gets traded at a home draft of his team in the middle of an Upper Deck card signing. One of the most bizarre circumstances around a guy being traded I can remember. And listen, since then, all he's done has been absolutely brilliant at a position that we desperately needed. Thompson, yay or nay? Who else is in the mix? Darcy Kemper, a potentially guy. That's the one thing. You look at everywhere else, the list is so long. And we're scratching and clawing to find guys that aren't at the bottom of the NHL to be on our goaltending depth chart.
It's true. And sort of a perfect way to summarize the overthinking is Darcy Kemper finished second in the Vezina vote last year. Logan Thompson was fourth. Neither guy was on Canada. So it's like, there are not no good goalies out there. They're just not being the ones taken to these tournaments so far. So I do think Kemper has to be in the mix. He's been good for LA again this year, and Mackenzie Blackwood, like I said. I think those are the two. If you're not bringing Logan Thompson, I think you look at those two. I still personally would go Logan Thompson and Jordan Binnington, especially if what I also wonder is if there's anything between Logan Thompson and Aiden Hill as former teammates. If Hill is still hurt and can't go, is it safer in that scenario to bring Logan Thompson? I wonder.
I know it is a great point. Matt Larkin's with us from Daily Faceoff. Something tells me there'll be a few more conversations like this in the next few weeks before we get the official roster for Team Canada by New Year's Eve. Matt, just moving away from the Canadian Olympic team for a minute, I want to ask you about a particular Canadian team, and it is the Vancouver Canucks. They're in a really bad place right now. They've sort of been in that mushy middle. They've gotten worse this year. Their big-time needs. Doesn't look like they've got much of a chance of being a playoff team this year. And now we're hearing not just whispers about the future of Quinn Hughes. What do you make of the Canucks situation right now, and in particular, the likelihood that Quinn Hughes could be traded as soon as this year?
Yeah, I think it's ugly. I'm not too surprised that things have gone south. You had a team that missed the playoffs last year, and yes, you re-signed Brock Besser and you extended Thatcher Demko, but you didn't really add to a team that wasn't good enough last year. So I didn't see a scenario in which they were going to improve enough to make the playoffs. They didn't have a strong enough farm crop to be improving a lot from within. So the result to me has been as predicted, which is why, and I think if I go back and look at my start of season predictions, I had Quinn Hughes being traded at the draft because I just looked ahead and saw a scenario in which the Canucks are going to be still out of the playoffs. And I don't think Quinn wants to stay there long-term from everything I've heard. And yeah, I just think the drumbeat is getting louder and louder. I think, a month ago it was, yeah, he's probably going to get traded after the season. Now I feel like it's going to happen during the season. It wouldn't surprise me at all. And the best way I can put it is I was talking to someone who's close to the situation in Vancouver. And I was just, as a joke, as a mock trade proposal, I said, okay, fine. If he's going to New Jersey, how about Simon Nemec, Dawson Mercer, and a first? And the reply I got was, who told you that? So clearly there's stuff going on behind the scenes. I was pretty shocked at that reply. Again, I'm not saying I perfectly predicted the trade, but I mean, Jim Rutherford's pretty open that the discussions are happening, right? So it's going to be fascinating to see where he goes. The only question I have is, we're all fantasy casting him as a New Jersey Devil, but are the Devils actually the right fit? Is there not a redundancy between Quinn and Luke? Isn't Quinn kind of on Luke's corner if he goes there? If I'm the Canucks, it's almost like, hey, we want Luke Hughes in the trade if we're making that. So I actually don't think the Devils are the ideal hockey fit for what it's worth.
I mean, we've heard Philly, we've heard Detroit. What are the chances that it's not New Jersey? I mean, I get it. It was two brothers are on the team. We've always known that they wanted to play together. It does make the most sense, but there are some other teams that I think would be willing to take a swing on Quinn Hughes right now for this year.
Yeah, for sure. And I look at asset-rich teams that have young players who are already making their way in the NHL, plus high-end prospects, maybe that are positional matches. So Detroit makes a lot of sense, whether you're asking for Simon Edmondson or maybe it's Axel sending Pellikka as part of the deal with Marco Casper or Nate Danielson, some package like that. I see Detroit as one of the better fits in terms of just having the right assets in the right positions. I also think the San Jose Sharks are an intriguing fit. So if you could build a deal around Sam Dickinson, yes, he's a prize prospect for San Jose, Michael Misa, whoever it could be, but you're getting Quinn Hughes. You're accelerating your rebuild in that case, right? So those are two teams that I just think have become so asset rich. Also, the Chicago Blackhawks, they're just loaded with high-end prospects. They could easily put together a package, in my opinion, that would be worthy of Quinn Hughes.
Matt, great chat as always. Fill people in on what's cooking as we get into the holidays, the World Juniors, and of course, Olympic team selection date over at Daily Faceoff.
Yes, we are going to do our final Canada and USA roster projections next week, so keep an eye out for those. I'll try and find out what I can about that goalie carousel in the meantime. And if you're a fantasy hockey fan, I have an updated top 300 coming out later this week, mid-season fantasy top 300 rankings.
Love it, pal. Thanks so much for doing this. Best of the season to you, and we'll look forward to catching up soon, Matt.
Always a pleasure, my friend. Happy holidays.
Take it easy. Princess Auto, wonderful support we've received for years from Princess Auto, as they've done for so many of our sporting institutions, including the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Winnipeg Jets. Princess Auto, really synonymous with Winnipeg, as they're founded and headquartered right here in the Peg, and now serving Canadians coast to coast with the best deals on the most unique assortment of tools and equipment around. Everything you need to complete the projects on your list or start something new or cross off that special gift for Christmas waiting for you at Princess Auto. In Winnipeg, visit them on Panet Road or Portage Avenue West. Also out in Brandon for our friends at Westman. And as always, you can check out the great deals and shop online 24/7, 365 over at princessauto.com. Speaking of the holidays and a little snow, Terminator and the Chuds gang out of Chuds Power Sports are ready for the snow to fly, and they are ready for the holidays. It's the best gifts don't go under the tree. They come from Chuds Power Sports. Enjoy holly jolly savings across every department. And don't forget to browse their online parts store at truenorthparts.com for Christmas specials that slay the competition. Holiday must-haves this December include ATVs, side-by-sides, personal transportation, and commercial XTVs, not to mention ice fish houses, RVs, gear and accessories. And with snowmobile season arrived, brand new Polaris and Arctic Cat sleds. This is the Christmas gift that guarantees excitement. Pop down and see the wonderful people at Chuds Power Sports taking care of the community. For over 80 years, Manitoba's undisputed power sports superstore, corner of Highway 8 and 231, and online at chudspowersports.com. And while we're talking about Christmas, Donnie and the gang at Manitoba Battery invite you to give the gift of power this year. Now, first and foremost, you got to make sure you get to Christmas, and it's going to be gnarly on the weekend. You can pop by your local Manitoba Battery on Logan Avenue or Dovercourt Drive for a free battery test. And if you need a new battery, you'll get the best price in town. But right now, you can give the gift of power at Manitoba Battery with some great deals, including $5 to $10 off the incredible low prices on power sport batteries, $10 to $20 off booster packs for you ice fishermen and fishing people, $99 for the ice fishing flasher battery combo, 12-foot booster cables for under $20, and of course, you've got gift cards as well for the gift of power from Manitoba Battery. Your local option, best prices in town, beating the pants off the big box stores, best customer service, delivery citywide inside the perimeter, and of course, you can also order it all online at manitobabattery.com. All right, Wieber's coming up right away. I've just entered, by the way, in the poker tourney for tonight. Tourney is set up. You will see, by the way, it'll say December 11th, 3 o'clock. It's 8 o'clock Central tonight. Coolbet.com. Click on over in poker, get in tournaments, and join us. Again, top 4 will get tickets for that January 12th qualifier. Wieber's jumping on right away. We're going to get into, obviously, the Jets, Hellebuck, tomorrow's game against Boston, his thoughts on last night. We'll also get into some of what Gary Bettman had to say. And this is something Remis and I have been talking about for years, getting the Jets records back. Our friend Murat Atesh asked the commissioner about that. Here's how it sounded from today's morning press conference.
I'm wondering if there is a process that exists by which the old Winnipeg Jets records could be under this organization.
Mr. Chipman has raised that issue with us repeatedly. It's not as simple as just doing it, and one of the projects recently retired Gary Mahar, who ran communications prior to John Weinstein now, is looking at, is to see the feasibility of how that would actually work. It's just not simply throwing it up, and so it is something we're looking into.
Is it at the stage where you're still figuring out what the process would be, or is there a process underway?
Well, it's not so much a process, it's what the end result would look like, and can we make it make sense? The process is trying to figure it out, which is what we're trying to do.
And I don't know if you've looked at it with respect to other teams in other leagues, and they're kind of all over the map in terms of how they've done it. Some have worked more well than others. So it's tricky.
Yeah.
All right. Well, at least it's being worked on, and we didn't get a hard no. I will take that, and hopefully maybe that could come into fruition for next year's Heritage Classic here in the Peg, late October. Jets and Habs. Let's bring in our pal Ken Wiebe from the Winnipeg Free Press, who's back from a busy 24 hours down at Canada Life Center. Weber, what's going on? How are you?
Great to be with you, Huss. Doing great. Yes, busy. Lots of things happening. The old commish visit added to the pile of things, but interesting, some interesting stuff, as you mentioned right there with the clip about the history. I mean, certainly a subject that a lot of Jets fans and folks in this market have been curious about for sure. In Gary's own way, seemed like not going to break any news, but, there could be an announcement. There may or may not be an alumni announcement at some point. That seems like a pretty good indicator that there will probably be an alumni game at some point. We'll see who's in the lineups for those teams. But yeah, I mean, I think that's something that a lot of folks in this market would also be looking forward to. Maybe a chance to see a number 33 on the ice. Maybe again, I'm not here to speculate, Huss, but I know that's something you sit in those 300s. I'm thinking a lot of folks in the 300s would welcome a Dustin Byfuglien sighting if that were to be the case in an alumni game.
Oh man, you know what? I'd love to see Buff. The guy that I'd love to see the most, to be honest, who was the hero of the last outdoor game, is Brian Little.
Will be Little, yeah.
I mean, and all those dudes from the early games. I mean, get the GST line back. I mean, that would be really, really fun. And obviously, Montreal has so much history; they would have no problem icing a team. Are you positive about us getting the records back, though? I mean, it is a shame right now that the records of the Winnipeg Jets are mothballed. I mean, they are no one's right now because, of course, Utah left those in the desert. Certainly did seem like they've given some thought to this, and there wasn't a hard no, which I was happy. But there is, as Bill Daly mentioned, when you look at things like the Cleveland Browns and the Baltimore Ravens, I mean, there are... It's worked differently in different leagues with different teams, and they are trying to find the right way to do this. And I would imagine the perfect time to pull this off and make it official would be next October.
Well, I would say it'd probably be next summer, but certainly if it hasn't been rolled out by then, they'd certainly love to do that by that time as well, Huss. I mean, it's imperfect, but it's already imperfect, right? Because a lot of folks aren't, for whatever reasoning, they're not. It's just an odd scenario, right? Thinking of Ilya Kovalchuk as part of Jets history is as abnormal as seeing a Dale Howard-Chuck jersey banner hanging in the rafters in Phoenix, right? I mean, it's just something that it looks odd. You understand why they did it. They were honoring the history, but I mean, it's complicated. The relationship status it's complicated, but it doesn't have to be as complicated. And to be honest, I think most people in the marketplace don't care if it looks a little bit muddled as long as, the record bearer is going to be Dale Hrabchak's, soon to be passed by Mark Scheifele in a number of other categories. Now, I think the other part of it, Huss, is that the Jets have been around long enough and have had long-time players like Mark Scheifele around for the better part of those 15 years, even though he wasn't a full-time NHLer for the first 2, that those honors and those recognitions are already starting to gravitate towards the current player. But I think if you're looking at the comparisons, I mean, it's natural, especially given the link to the player and how he coached him, that you'd want him to be chasing down Dale Hrabchak rather than, some of the other players that set the standard for the Atlanta Thrashers. So I do see it happening. And again, if it were just an easy thing, they would have already done it.
Sure.
But that's not to say they're going to stop looking at ways for it to work. And, the melding of the two, I think it makes the most sense to you and I, Huss, which is why it should make sense, for the grander scheme of things for the league and for all those things. And I mean, Huss, to be honest, I mean, I'm not even 100% sure how the intermingling with the Atlanta Flames and the Calgary Flames works. And if some of those guys were still part of the history now, I'm not 100% sure, but it's certainly something that is being looked at. And if it wasn't important, they would have stopped looking into it, Huss. And if it wasn't a possibility, we know that Gary's not afraid to be definitive. So if it were definitive that it was not happening, they would have dismissed it outright. And that is not the indication that we heard by the clips or also by standing there in the room.
Kenny, let's get to the current play to the team, and we can get into last night's game and what's coming up tomorrow.
Sure.
It's been a real rough month plus for the Winnipeg Jets and their fans. So Darren Dreger's report yesterday got some people in a much better mood. I mean, I was floored when I heard what Dregs reported yesterday, that Hellebuyck was trying to play this week. And then, lo and behold, I mean, he says that it's a matter of days, not weeks. And then guess who's out? Not wearing 4 yellow jerseys like Arneal said that he would be when he came back out. Connor Hellebuyck. What can you tell us about Helly's return to the ice? And, what you're hearing behind the scenes as to when he might return?
Well, it's they're into that stage where, the more secretive it becomes, the more of a reality it sort of sounds like us, right? I mean, that's, we're here to connect the dots, and I don't think it's imminent, but I sort of had December 27th circled on my own personal calendar.
Me too. To me, that was best case scenario.
And I honestly thought that was the earliest as well. But, now I would circle the game against the Utah Mammoth, which is the 22nd. That is 1 day after 4 weeks. Now, that's not to say that it couldn't happen earlier, but I think that given the nature of the injury and knowing what is on the horizon, this is how I look at it, Huss. You could look at it twofold. If you waited till the 22nd, why don't you just wait 5 days till the 27th? But my other thought of that is you're going to have some swelling after the first game, so why not have the swelling on the 23rd and then have 4 days to rest until the 27th happens? Knowing that he would also be playing against the Oilers on the 29th and probably on the 31st against the Detroit Red Wings in his home state. So that's not to rule out St. Louis or Colorado. It just seems less like. Yeah, I personally,
I'm getting greedy now.
Us, I would say you're already going to get a bonus of 1 and potentially 2. But yeah, I mean, it's Connor Hellebuyck's a competitive person, said hello on the way today, and he was not available for interview, and this was just casual conversation. But in typical fashion, Scott Arneal walked by and dropped a quick quip, "Hey, no talking to the media." So, but Connor, let's just say this. I mean, I think he was excited to be back out there, right? I mean, we know that this is a guy that doesn't like missing action. He did not want to have. And Huss, just quickly here, I have seen in your chat room and mine a number of folks dropping weird things about, oh my God, I can't believe Hellebuyck's putting himself in the Olympics ahead of the Jets. If Connor Hellebuyck only cared about the Olympics, he is not trying to get back 3 weeks into a 4 to 6 week recovery situation. So let's get the wake up territory out of the way quickly. And this wasn't something that was lingering all summer long, and Connor didn't feel like having the surgery. This was something he tried to play through, thought would get better, and then deteriorated to the point that it required a scope. But the fact that it needed a scope and not an actual big-time under-the-knife surgery was already a step that it was a positive one for Hellebuyck and for the Jets and for their fan base. So this is a guy that he's not kicking up his heels and waiting for Milan to arrive. He's been working his behind off to try to get back into the lineup, and he didn't want to be out of the lineup to begin with. So, let's all to say that I think, Scott Arniel, said all the right things and all dropped the requisite. I'm not a doctor. They're going to have to wait and see how it feels. Here's the other part of it, Huss. When we saw Adam Lowry start to air things out at the Hockey for All Center, some folks thought that meant he would be playing the week following. So obviously two different things in terms of hip surgery versus the scope that took place. But now how is he going to feel tomorrow? What's the swelling like? What's the movement like? I just don't. It's not a matter of just hitting fast forward and Connor Hellebuyck is arriving to save the day. But I would say it looks like he will miss fewer starts than you or I or other people had anticipated. So, but unless it was a smokescreen, and I don't think that it was, Scott Arniel's kind of already committed to getting Dom DiVincentis a start on this homestand. So I don't think that will be usurped from Connor Hellebuyck coming back in. Now, if he was fully healthy and everything else and the rest of the week goes well, I'm not here to rule it out, but I'm saying it's highly doubtful that it would be in the next 3 games. But yeah, I mean, it's that road trip now looks like a legitimate possibility. Now, how early into the road trip I think is too early to predict. But like I said, even in sticking with the standard initial guideline or timeline, that game against Utah looks like one that could be on the horizon. Now, again, Connor Hellebuyck is also a guy who'd like to push fast forward and say, hey, good to go for St. Louis, divisional game, sign me up. But let's see how it transpired. But from the naked eye and the limited part of practice I watched after we finished off with the daily Bettman presser, moving fine, taking all shots. Like, no, there's not contact around him, and you don't want contact around a goalie, but he was moving well and was in quite good spirits after the skate was over. Like, this wasn't a guy that just made his way through his first team workout and thought, oh man, I'm not even close. Like, this is a guy who probably thought he'd be good to go tomorrow, Huss. But I don't see that as being a possibility at this stage of the proceedings.
It's a big game for his teammate Nino Niederreiter on Saturday. Maybe. Oh man. Anyways, listen, the sooner the better. And he's been watching these games too. I mean, he knows what his team's going through, and they know that they could really use him right now. And listen, they're not going to do anything dumb, anything that'll put the player in any sort of a danger of, recurring or coming back too early. But, when you hear Dreg say that, you see him on the ice, you feel that it certainly sounds like the return is a lot earlier than expected, and that is a very good thing. Ken, listen, there's been some tough losses lately for the Winnipeg Jets. Last night felt like a real step forward, but unfortunately the same result against a truly elite team in the Dallas Stars. I mean, what were your takeaways from the 4-3 loss on both the good side for the team that's been searching for some positives and also what sort of eventually did them in?
Yeah, so this is another one of the complex issues surrounding the Jets. So, yeah, I mean, the template is on display for a good chunk of that game. Now, the issue is sleepy start, tough 5 minutes, not just the opening minute goal, Huss. Like, there's a shorthanded breakaway in the first 5 minutes also. It could have been 2-0 at the snap of a finger. Goal in the first minute of the second period also. A little bit of a leaky penalty kill. That has been really good for most of the year, but now has given up at least one in the last 6 games.
That power play is something else for Dallas, though.
Oh, man, no, hey, it was exceptional, and the Robertson one-timer is exquisite puck movement, froze the goaltender, and, the net is mostly open, despite a great acrobatic effort. But for the Jets, their power, again, Power play, special teams is 2-0. Huss, to me, it's really 2-1 in that game. I mean, Wyatt Johnston is out of the box, but he's not in the play. The second Scheifele goal is a power play goal, without the benefit of getting a check mark in that slot.
Fair.
Fifth player's not on. And Huss, the reason you know that is because the Jets still had 4 guys on the ice. 4 forwards, sorry, I should say. And in the offensive zone, they hadn't yet changed, to get that second defenseman out on the ice. So, but the bigger issue for the Jets is that, after striking back with the Logan Stanley goal that got them within 1, they got another late power play and, struggled with zone entries, didn't have enough second chances or first chances on the attack. So at a time where, early at 9-3, Huss, there's a power play goal there that ties the game, right? In the first 12 this year, or, a good chunk of last year where it just kind of felt like an inevitability the Jets would even the score. Now, the flip side is didn't give up much. Only 19 shots, 5-on-5 play, borderline dominant for the Jets at times. Some of that score effects, but not the whole part of it. Zone time was there. Forecheck is there. Back check is there. Defending is there. Not nearly as many breakdowns in structure. Jets did not look slow against a team that's still a pretty fast team. But at the same time, some of the same issues are still needing to be unraveled. Secondary scoring, with all due respect to Logan Stanley, that's an important secondary goal for Logan Stanley, but Logan Stanley has 4 goals, and a number of players who the Jets are counting on for offensive production do not have 4 goals. So that's not a knock on Stanley. It's a reality that the Jets were not expecting Logan Stanley to outscore a number of either free agent signings or guys that are on the roster.
Hey, you know that I was digging into the numbers with Dusty today. You know that Stan has the same amount of goals as Braden Point.
Well, again, that's what I'm saying. It's not a knock. Like, this is a guy who's on the Olympic team, so
he's struggling. Yeah. I mean, but he's like a star player that was one of Canada's top guys. I don't think anyone had that on their bingo card.
No, Huss, but nobody also had him. Had a Cole Perfetti, and yes, we know Cole had injuries and missed time and all of those things. But, no one would have had him ahead of Jonathan Taves, Gustav Nyquist, tied with Alex Iafallo, all of these things, and even ahead of Morgan Barron, who had an exceptional start, which was interrupted by injury. So the facts are that some of the line juggling, brought some success in terms of.
Well, let me ask you that. I mean, like, obviously we know what Scheifele and Connor did last night playing with Alex Iafallo.
Yeah.
What did you think about line 2, 3, and 4? Number them however you want.
Sure. And first and foremost, Iafallo, who needed to, play better, had his best game of the year in the eyes of Scott Arniel, and I have to agree with him.
Very noticeable last night.
For sure. And the reasons he's noticeable is he's in on the forecheck, he's disrupting plays, he's getting retrievals, he's winning board battles, a lot of the things that work well with Scheifele and Connor. 2-4, I thought the Lowry line looked more like itself. There were times where they were getting grinding shifts. Nemestikov's line at times had some movement too. Tanner Pearson going up. I thought that worked well with Niederreiter and Lowry. And again, I understand how some folks in the chat room will feel. But Huss, the facts are simple. The best scoring chance for one of the players in the bottom 9 forwards belonged to Jonathan Taves, and he just ripped it wide. That's not to say Taves was a dominant force in the game. It was his lowest ice time, probably might have been the lowest ice time in his career in a game not impacted by injury with under 9 minutes. So again, not here to say he was a dominant force, but the best scoring chance in the game belonged to him. He just missed the net wide. It was a nice setup, I think, by Scheifele. I still need to see more from Nemestikov. This is not piling on, but the facts are it's now, I think, 1 assist in 16, 17 games. It's getting to like quarter of the season territory for a guy who's got 6 goals. And Vladislav Nemestikov is well on his way to 15 plus. Based on the start that he had, but the well's gone pretty dry for him and a number of others. So I liked Velarde. I liked where Velarde was with Lowry. I'd like to see more of that. But I also, Velarde also worked with Nemestikov. Numbers bore it out. Again, and I think based on, the Jets at a optional skate, no Scheifele, no Connor. We expect he'll be back with Iafallo. But I think the lineup I don't think the optimal lines were found, and I think there's still very much a work in progress here, Huss. Today, just quickly, Niederreiter, Lowry, Nyquist, Pearson, Taves, Iafallo, Perfetti, Nemesnikov, Velarde, Kepke, Barron, and then often with Velarde, and they're just sort of circulating through. So I think it looks like things are still a work in progress, Huss, on a lot of fronts.
You think Gus is back tomorrow based on that?
I mean,
Arnie did say he was going to be coming back into the lineup.
I think it's going to be soon, but Huss, I mean, I think they're the flip side of the argument. And again, I'm not saying this is my argument, but Sean and I discussed this on the show on the weekend. Now, if you just played a template game, there will be a tendency to maybe run the same lineup out there for some consistency purposes. So I think it's certainly possible Nyquist could be back in. But if that's the case, then I would just doubt that one of Taves or Pearson would be a healthy scratch based on what we saw in the game yesterday. But again, I don't know that, and we're not going to know it until the skate itself in the morning. But what we do know is that the Jets are still very much looking for their optimal bottom 9, and for lack of a better term, and again, or bottom 8. We know where Velarde stands, but it's very much a work in progress here for sure, Huss. And it's something they got to have answered. They've got 3 games against Eastern Conference teams, but they've got to answer that question about secondary scoring in the near future. Now, like you said with Hammer yesterday, still striking distance, 2 points out of the playoffs, but even getting Hellbuck back, this team can't be rolling as a one-line hockey team. And brilliant play by Josh Morrissey. That is not a formula to playoff hockey.
And Stan. So let's not forget the goal scoring
and double digit points for Logan Stanley. Yes, and Huss, you were in the building. Like those were MVP chants, right? We were not hearing things.
Oh yeah, I mean, listen, I'm sure some of it was a little tongue in cheek, but it was cool, man. Like there's a lot of people really pulling for that guy, and if you just paid attention to social media over the last couple of years, this guy's taken it from every side, and I know there's some people that don't like to see him do well because they've sort of planted their flag that this guy can't play. And but I think the vast majority of Jet fans that want good things for the team are enjoying the fact that he's playing with a new level of confidence and has been one of the has been a guy that has been a positive impact player quite a bit this season. Nothing's perfect. There's still a long ways to go. But listen, I was pumped for him last night, and it was nice to see him feeling a bit of love from the crowd. The guy that's been really struggling, we talk about secondary scoring, that has a lot personally on the line this season, and has really, really been struggling is Cole Perfetti. What did you think of him last night? There were some times last night where I thought he was maybe making some progress, playing with a little bit more confidence with the puck, shooting it.
More involved.
But, I mean, where are things at with Cole right now? And, how stressful must this be for a young man considering everything that is on the line for him personally and for the team right now in this stretch?
Yeah, for sure, Husson. Again, you can't ignore the fact he's in a contract year, but I mean, Cole is not sitting at home thinking about the money he's costing himself by having a slow start. He's trying to get himself going. Like, this is a guy who he knows the responsibility and he knows that he was going to be counted on to take the next step as a player and be a primary scorer, not a secondary scorer, Huss. Right now, he is neither. I like the fact he stayed on late. I mean, he spoke today after the optional skate. I mean, he didn't really want to get into too much detail, but this guy wanted more touches. He's trying to, rebuild his confidence, and he's trying to do so coming back from one of the toughest injuries to come back from for any player, especially one who, isn't reliant on his, not reliant in the sense like Nikolai Ehlers is reliant on his legs, but you got to play with pace in the NHL. And when you're not, you can be medically cleared, but you are still trying to play catch up when you're coming back from an injury like the one Cole Perfetti went through after an incredible summer of training, skating really well throughout camp. And then, just the ridiculously unfortunate for him, the running into Kevin Ball that caused the high ankle sprain. So, I mean, Cole knows that he's got to get going. This is very simple. On a team that's not getting complementary offense, Cole's got to get going in a complementary manner first, and then get himself into, this is a guy the Jets are counting on probably for 20 snips and, 60 to 70 points. So those numbers look like they're in another area code right now. But what I saw from Cole yesterday is a guy getting involved. He's had stretches and pockets where he's had chances, but it looked like he was getting chances that he felt like he could convert right now, Huss. And to me, that's a step forward for him. And if you're Scott Arniel, you feel like the dam is going to burst shortly. But again, you got to get the dam to burst when you've been waiting for it to burst, and things have sort of been bottled up the way they have for him. The one thing for Cole, and again, he's had to handle some tough, rough patches previously in his career, Huss, and he's come through them on the other side a better player. Now, no one wants to go through this as a player ever, but often pretty much everyone, if you're not McDavid, does go through it. I think he can get through it on the other side, and it will make him a better player down the stretch, Huss. But again, you need that to happen in a relatively short order manner in order for the Jets to start, feeling better about their chances, quite frankly.
Well, big one tomorrow. We get to see the Morgan Geekie show. What a season he's having.
Outstanding.
Speaking of Manitobans.
Pride of Strathclyde. Let's go.
Yeah,
there
no
you go.
doubt. And, hopefully he can quiet down. Maybe, hope his buddies are in town. They can take him out late tonight or something like that. Jets need to find a way. Hey, very quickly on the way out. I mean, we talked about the Hellebuck situation, which may change things. But if DiVincentis is getting a start, when does he go?
Yeah, for me, it's got to be. It would feel like Monday. I believe that's sort of how I was viewing it. We know yesterday was 11 of 12 for Comrie, so I guess you could make the case maybe for Saturday, but I just don't think in a 1,000th game for Niederreiter that you're throwing out the kid against Ovi and the Caps. I don't think so. And knowing there are 3 Central Division road games to follow, I think that. Again, I was anticipating Comrie would have to start all 3 of them when we were starting to lay out the schedule, but Ottawa seems like the most likely opportunity for that to be happening. So, but again, we'll see how the rest of this week develops.
Looking forward to you and Rennie firing it up tomorrow after the game against the Boston Bruins. Wiebe, thanks so much for doing this. Have a great night.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Huss. And I told this to Justin Dunk, but when you have John coming up here, as someone who works at a place where the investment in media is happening, it's great to see the investment that Harvard has made for the folks at 4 Down Nation here. So
it's 3 Down Nation.
Sorry, 3. Yeah, it's try again. That's why I should stick to hockey. Got it.
What a passionate mention. No, it's
sorry,
great
Johnny.
news.
It is awesome to see.
We'll be getting to that with John right away. Exciting news for the guys at 3 Down. Couldn't happen to a better, more hardworking group.
Also, Remo, try to edit that out, would you?
Yeah.
For the podcast at least.
No way. We're leaving it in. That's why we love about the show.
We're gonna make a new meme. Yeah, here we go.
See you tomorrow at the rink.
Have a good day. Cheers.
Ken's fully behind the Americanization of Canadian football. So much he's changing the name of 3 Down Nation to 4 Down. Couldn't resist. Hey, John Hodge is coming up in just a moment. First up, though, a big thanks to our friends at Clean Line and our WST sponsors. Clean Line, plumbing, heating, and electrical. Your local leader for over 40 years and the official plumbing service of the Winnipeg Jets for all of your plumbing needs, both residential and commercial. Clean Line has got you covered, as well as heating and electrical services. And like the captain who has the backs of the Winnipeg Jets, Clean Line has your back 24/7, 365 with emergency services available in the Winnipeg area. For all your plumbing, heating, and electrical needs, use Clean Line, family owned and operated for over 40 years. Check them out online at cleanline.ca. We are, 8 days away from our holiday get-together watch party, December 17th, Boston Pizza, Kenniston. I know it seems like a lot of people in the chat looking forward to joining us. If you haven't made plans or a podcast listener, give them a buzz, reserve a table, or just come down and join us for what should be a heck of a lot of fun. In the meanwhile, great gift card promo right now at BP. With every $50 gift card you purchase for gifting, you get a $10 promo card as well. And if you need to buy for an office or a big run, you'll get an extra 10% gift cards for every $1,000 purchased. You can get those at any local Boston Pizza. And if you're staying at home to watch the game tonight, order online at bostonpizza.com. The Christmas push continues at Royal Sports, Winnipeg's sports superstore. Jets gear, moving, jerseys, of course, customized with your favorite players' name and number, ready to be opened up under the tree. Royals got it all. They've also got the entire National Hockey League covered with jerseys and more from around the league, not to mention NFL, Jays and Major League Baseball, NBA, Raptors, international soccer, Team Canada gear for the upcoming World Cup. And for all you hockey players, over $200,000 in sticks on the floor, priced up to 50% off. Great deals on hockey equipment. And, of course, tons of great gift ideas on the King's Skate, Snow, and Surf side of the store as well. Not to mention the biggest snowboard department in town. It's all waiting for you in time for Christmas at Royal Sports, 750 Pembina Highway. Check them out online on Instagram at Royal Sports Winnipeg for the latest merchandise drops and some great holiday gift ideas. All right, Stephen Ellis is going to join us to fill us in on this World Junior Camp coming up. First up, though, let's give a big holiday cheers to our friends at Winnipeg's favorite local brewery, Little Brown Jug.
You train day in and day out, learning new techniques, approaching new concepts, and living out the thrill of achieving your goals. Building a craft beer is no different. While you spend your hours on the ice, we spend ours here, brewing our trademark beer. Again, and again. Here's to pushing the status quo and challenging ourselves to build something memorable. 1919 by Little Brown Jug.
All right, let's welcome in our pal John Hodge from 3 Down Nation. And yeah, congratulations are in order. We haven't had you on the show since the big news of the investment from Harvard. As I say, you guys do such a great job, work so hard yourself. Obviously, Justin Dunk and JC Abbott. I'm sure this is great news, not only for you guys individually, but also for fans of the 3 Down game moving forward.
Yeah, I appreciate the kind words. You know, we work our tails off, and I'm super proud of everything that we've accomplished. And I'm hopeful that we'll continue to grow, continue to get better. Some folks have asked, well, how did you accomplish this? How did you grow this? And I'm like, work as hard as you can for 2,000 days in a row. Like that's kind of how we did it. And that's not a fun recipe, but it's a good one. So it's been blood, sweat, and tears, and we're thrilled to be with a partner that is committed to quality reporting, quality journalism, and obviously Canadian football.
Love it, love it. Well, listen, cheers to all you guys, and definitely well earned. And as a fan of the Canadian Football League and 3 Down Football, it's great to know that this is moving up bigger and better with your new partners. Schedule came out yesterday. We can get to that in a minute, but I want to touch on a couple things that the Bombers have done. What were your thoughts on Ontario Wilson getting the contract extension through 2028?
I think it's great. I mean, I don't see Polk as number 1 receiver, but I think he's a really good number 2. You know, I still think this receiving core misses a Kenny Lawler or a healthy Dalton Schoen, but I think Polk is a great 2. I think Nick Dembski's a great 3. And I mean, we'll see if Carrick Wheatfall, Jareth Stearns, if either of those guys are back in that kind of 4 slot. But I think Polk is a player to build around. Certainly, he's got some deep threat ability. He's a great route runner. He's got really nice hands. And obviously, he's entering his prime. I believe he's 26 right now. The NFL is officially, I think, out of his system after attending training camp with the New York Jets earlier this year, and he looked good, right? Late in the year, like a lot of guys who get NFL shots, some of them it's because they add weight, or some of them because, they've just been training under a different set of rules. Playing receiver in 4-down football is very different than 3-down football, obviously. So a lot of guys struggle when they come back up to the CFL midway through the season. That wasn't the case with Wilson. I thought he played really well late in the year and was excellent in that East semifinal with the big touchdown catch. So I think it's a great signing. I think there's a ton of work to be done elsewhere on Winnipeg's roster, but I think the addition of Polk is the re-addition of Polk is a solid move for sure.
One of those areas that the roster needs some additions is the QB room. Zach Collaros has 1 year left on his deal after signing the extension. And the Bombers signed former UFL MVP Bryce Perkins. You got a chance to sit down with him and talk to him. What did you learn about Bryce Perkins, and what should Bomber fans know about the new guy in the room?
I think Bomber fans are going to like him a lot. I have the whole 20-minute interview up at 3 Down on our YouTube page and on our podcast feed as well. But, I mean, he's a guy who spent 3 years with the LA Rams, learning from Matt Stafford, Sean McVay, won a Super Bowl ring as a backup there. And then has since, as you pointed out, has been the MVP of the UFL. He's 6'2", 215 pounds. He told me that he ran somewhere in the maybe high 4.4s, low 4.5s coming out of the University of Virginia, where he was a 2-year standout. And he's somebody who can run like the wind. And I'd actually forgotten this, Huss. I cover the CFL draft closely. And so coming out of Virginia around that time, 2019, 2020, was Dejon Brissett, who actually just led the Toronto Argonauts in receiving. So I had forgotten that I'd watched a bunch of Bryce Perkins play at the collegiate level. He had dreads then. He doesn't have them now. So he looks different relative to how he used to. But regardless, he can run like the wind. And to me, if nothing else, I think it's possible he could be the heir apparent to Zach Collaros. He's not a spring chicken. He turns 29 this month. So he's somebody who is not going to come in as a 3-4 year project. He's somebody who you'd hope can hit the ground running with all the pro experience he has and possibly be ready to start in 2027 if either Zach Collaros decides to move on or the Bombers decide to move on from him post 2026. But regardless, I think he's somebody who fits in seamlessly into that Chris Streveler type role. The last time I spoke to Chris Streveler, he was undecided if he'd even play professional football in 2026, saying he just wants to start getting focused on getting his knee, getting that surgery that he needs and getting his knee working again after suffering a second consecutive torn ACL. So Bryce Perkins, I think a great candidate to make the roster as your short yardage guy, big bodied, fast, super athletic guy, and potentially, again, become the starter down the line.
Well, and you mentioned Streveler. I mean, there's a bit of a connection between those two, and that was a little bit of a nudge, I guess, maybe to give the Bombers a little bit more consideration before signing.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Streveler has made his offseason home in Arizona since he was a member of the Cardinals, and Bryce Perkins is a native of Arizona. He played collegiately again at Virginia, which is nowhere near Arizona, but that is where he is from. That's where he continues to make his offseason home. So they have trained in the offseason previously, and Streveler told Perkins, oh, you're on Winnipeg's list? Okay, yeah, if you go there, you're going to love it. And there's a few more connections. Bryce Perkins' father was a 3-year fullback in the Canadian Football League who was actually a rookie alongside Mike O'Shea with the Hamilton Tiger Cats back in 1993. Wow. So there's a bunch of connections that he has to Winnipeg. And I'll give Perkins credit for this. It's possible the team coached him up a bit, but he, without me even asking about it, knew that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers had sold out their season in 2025. He knew that they'd been to 5 straight Grey Cups recently. He's been watching CFL games on his iPad. So this isn't a guy who's coming in lightly. He knows what the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are. He knows what the organization is like. And he's somebody who I think has his head screwed on right coming into the CFL. I don't think he sees it as a pushover league where he's just going to show up and dominate. He's taking it seriously. He's doing his homework. And I think that'll serve him well come the start of training camp.
One other Bomber note, Cam Lawson re-ups with the Bombers through 2027. What were your takeaways from the schedule yesterday, other than the fact that it seems like the team's home a lot? And yeah, we know why that is, because the Argos are deciding to play a bunch of games on the road to the benefit of teams like Winnipeg, Saskatchewan, and Hamilton. But anything kind of stand out? It's always fun to plan your entire summer and fall once you get the schedule in your hands.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird to start the season with 2 consecutive weeks of 3 games, right? But you've got the World Cup going on, so it makes sense to backload the schedule a little bit. The Bombers are not at home in week 20 or week 21. I think Bomber fans who don't like sitting out in the cold, they're probably happy about that. And I also think Winnipeg's buys are pretty evenly split. I think their first one's in week 3, but the rest of the way, they're nicely laid out. So I think if you're a Bomber fan, you're pretty happy with the schedule. As a CFL person, 2 big takeaways from me. One is that the last 2 games of the regular season, both on October 24th, are happening simultaneously. Huss, I can't remember the last time 2 regular season games in the CFL happened at the same time. There will be games that kick off. Yeah, I checked with the league, by the way, in case it was a clerical error. It was not. It's real. There's a game, I believe it's Hamilton and Ottawa, that will start at 3 p.m. Eastern, and at exactly that same time, Edmonton and Saskatchewan will also kick off. I don't know if that's because come the last week of the regular season, I know I certainly feel this way. I'm just ready for the playoffs to start. So maybe we're just getting that last game out, like ripping the Band-Aid off, and we're just going to the playoffs. I don't know. And then the other one is like crazy football day in Canada on September 12th, which is Banjo Bowl day for Bomber fans. Typically there's been a triple header. This year there is not a triple header. There is a quadruple header. So from 12 noon Central or 1 p.m. Eastern, all the way for the next 12 hours, there's going to be CFL football on. And this is apparently the first quadruple header since 1995, according to the league. And hopefully they're able to sell it as some type of, like my colleague Justin Dunk was saying, football day in Canada, like something like that with tie-ins, with sponsorship, could be really cool. I don't know how I feel necessarily about sitting through 12 hours of football on the same day. I like it when it's spread out a little more, but it could be a great day. That's for sure.
Well, and listen, the centerpiece of that day will certainly be right here in Winnipeg, the annual game. And I would suggest that the Banjo Bowl going to be ramped up even a little bit more this year because, of course, the visitors are going to be coming in as Grey Cup champions. And we haven't said that for a long time. But, yeah, no, it was great. Biggest thing I was looking at, you'll laugh about this, wanted to know Zach Collaros' availability for the Travis Kelce Taylor Swift wedding, which is on June the 13th. And as it was, and I wouldn't be surprised if the CFL was smart. They said, you know what? We want to make sure Zach can make this. It'll be good for the CFL. It'll be good for the Bombers to have him around. Bombers play Thursday night, June 11th. I would expect an early morning flight for Zach on the 12th to get out to the event. And then, of course, it's followed by the Bombers bye week.
That is pretty perfect. So I don't know. Maybe, I mean, Taylor Swift has pretty much endless resources. Travis Kelce's got a lot too, but like Taylor Swift, I think has a lot more. So it wouldn't surprise me if Stuart Johnston got a random phone call one day from an anonymous number and it was, hey, this is Taylor Swift. Zach Collaros needs this day off. And what do you do if you get that call?
Even if the call didn't come, I would say this. If I'm Stuart Johnson, I would love the fact that he is tight with the Kelce brothers and be in there. And, that's the sort of publicity that is not going to hurt the Canadian Football League in the least. Hey, listen, before we go, we saw Cam Lawson. The Bombers are working right now, obviously, to re-sign the players that they do want to keep. If you had to bet, who might we be hearing about? At least the priorities for the Bombers to get back and be announced before free agency begins?
Well, I think when you look at the Tyson Philpott contract, that set the market for these top Canadians who are available. Nick Dembski and Brady Oliveira are obviously 2 of them. I think you have to throw Sam Emelis and AJ Allen from the Saskatchewan Roughriders into that mix as well. I think with that market being set, if I'm the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, I try to hammer these 2 guys down right now, right? I mean, there's top O-linemen still available to some extent. I mean, Jarrell Broxton, who's great for the BC Lions, is still a free agent, but like Pio Lestage is great. And he's back with the Montreal Alouettes already, right? Like we've seen a ton of the top O-linemen get re-signed. If I'm the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and my plan was to spend money at that position, I'm now going, okay, there's already limited guys who could be available at that spot. So why not take that cash, give it to Brady Oliveira, give it to Nick Dembski, knowing again what the market's going to be, right? We've already seen Tyson Philpott signing in that mid 200 range, 260. And if he's making 260, I'm going to Brady Oliveira and saying, okay, here's 300K. Let's just get this done and we can reinstate you as the face of our franchise. And Nick Dembski, right? If Tyson Philpott's, again, a $260,000 guy at this point of his career, I think Nick Dembski's a $260,000 guy. Give him that money and bring the band back together. And then you can make your decisions about some of the older guys, the Stanley Bryants, the Willie Jeffersons, the Patty Neufelds, guys who have all, they're all still playing at a relatively high level, but again, are on the back nine of their career. Start with your stars who are in their primes right now.
Hey, speaking of Stanley Bryant, I was sort of ready and maybe expecting that he would be done. I mean, what is he, 39 years old? I mean, going straight into the Hall of Fame. And then we played the Bomber video game for the schedule yesterday on the show, and I couldn't help but notice that Stanley Bryant was featured very prominently, and you had to find Stan on all of the levels, which all of a sudden, I don't know whether this is a foolish conclusion to make, I'm not sure you're featuring a guy like that so prominently in your schedule release if you don't have a pretty good feeling that he's going to be back for another season.
Well, I'll say this, Huz. I think it was 2017. It might have been 18. One of those 2 years, the Bombers spent a ton of money on an aging, slowing down, formerly brilliant, but very much over the hill Adarius Bowman, and then unceremoniously traded him at the halfway point. And if I remember correctly, there was a gigantic poster of Adarius Bowman that had been put up either inside or just outside of the Bomber store and stayed there the rest of the year. And I think that was the year that the Bombers learned a very hard lesson, which was, if you're going to invest in a player like that, you need to ensure that they're up to the, they're going to live up to that billing. And I 100% agree with you. It's speculation, but I would take the inclusion of Stanley Bryant in that video game to mean something, because if you're not 100% he's back, you can pick any other player. You could have had Zach, who's under contract for 2026. Be that player in that silly yet amazing video game that they made. So I don't think it's ridiculous to draw that conclusion. And I'll also say this. Yeah, Stanley Bryant is not at the elite level he once was, but he's still playing left tackle at a good rate, at a good level. And if something's not broke, you don't have to fix it, right? He's not making the same amount of money he was a few years ago. There's not a lot of left tackles available who are up to his level. Why change something if it's going well?
Hey, before we go, the mandatory Taylor Elgersma question, I'm seeing it in the chat, Matt Hyman. I mean, we're getting down to the short strokes of this NFL season. You hearing anything about Elgersma? And if a decision is made, when do you think that comes?
I mean, I think Elgersma has made it clear he's going to wait to the end of the NFL season, right? I mean, we've just seen the Indianapolis Colts go through everybody and their plumber at the quarterback position, at a grandfather 44-year-old
Phil Rivers is back.
Likely starting this week. This is exactly the type of scenario I think Elgersma and his camp were envisioning when they decided not to sign a CFL contract in 2025 so they could take advantage of this. So he's had 2 workouts in the last week or so, one with the 49ers, one with the Bears. I'm sure they're hoping that another one materializes or that a contract is signed. If that happens, obviously his attention's NFL. If that doesn't materialize, I think it will turn CFL. I appreciate Bomber fans don't want to be patient. They want Taylor to sign now and become the future. I get that. But Taylor is doing his due diligence in the NFL. And until the season is done and he's gone unsigned and he's available, he's not coming up to the Bombers.
I'm just looking. ESPN reporting that Phillip Rivers, the QB situation is fluid. Phillips is excited, and he is an option to start this weekend. I'd written the Colts off, but I'll tell you what, you're damn sure I'm going to be watching that if he's out there slinging it again.
You know what it makes me wish, Hus? It makes me wish I could go back to August and put some money on Phillip Rivers to take a snap in 2025.
Yeah,
that's what it makes me wish.
I don't know who was booking that one, but yeah, that would have been a large number. John, great stuff as always. And again, congrats to you and the 3 Down team. Awesome news on the partnership with Harvard Broadcasting. And I look forward to touching base with you over the next few weeks, as I'm sure we get some more Bomber news and closer to what's going to be a wild free agency period coming up in the Canadian Football League. Have a great one.
Thanks for having me, Huss. Anytime.
Good stuff. There is John Hodge from 3 Down Nation. Follow him on X at John D. Hodge. We do have to get to the Coolbet lines, but let's get Michael Remis back in here. And Remo, some good stuff with Ken and great conversation with John. Definitely, if people are wanting more information on this new quarterback, Bryce Perkins, definitely check out either the pod or the article over at 3 Down Nation. And, now we're starting to get a few of the signings coming in. Pokey Wilson, Cam Lawson, and it really does feel like the next few weeks heading into the holidays, there'll be a few presents under the tree for Bomber fans of players they would like to see back. And then when it's really going to get interesting is early February, when we find out what's coming in and the changes around the league, of which there will be many.
Yeah, lots to discuss today, Huss. Good conversation with Ken about the Jets and Gary Bettman's visit. And I really did enjoy John Hodge's interview with Bryce Perkins. Didn't know a lot about him. The connection with Chris Streveler, find very intriguing. Seems to be interested in the CFL and learning more about it. And you wonder, is he a guy who can step in and be a player if Zach Collaros goes down again? He left a couple of games with injury. They have to be prepared for that to be a possibility this year. Is he going to be the guy, or short yardage without Chris Streveler? Could he take on that role? So very intrigued about that. Receiver, interesting what John said about Wilson at being a good number 2 and marking Dempsey as a number 3. I don't know that Dempsey was excellent this past year, but yeah, they did miss Kenny Lawler and Dalton Schoen. We don't really know what his status is going to be. There are going to be some moves. We saw Philpott, what he re-upped in Montreal. He was a guy I had my eye on. I think Hatcher is still in BC, re-upped. So the Bombers' offense was something that struggled all last season. We're still kind of waiting on what's going to happen at OC, as there have been reports they've been interviewing for that position. So CFL offseason, in full swing, moves coming out every day. Nice to get an update there from John.
Yeah, appreciate John jumping on. All right, let's head over to get into the Coolbet lines. And again, tonight, gang, is your first chance to qualify for the Costa Rica finals for the WST Poker Series. Qualifier number 1 is tonight. It'll run just as any of our other tourneys have, 20 euros, so I think it's $32 buy-in. And, we'll have all the regular prizes depending on how many people are in the tournament. $100 bounty on my head, Michael Remis' head, and Jeff Hamilton. Hammer is short side snipe, for those of you wondering. But the top 4 that finish tonight will all get tickets to the Costa Rica final January 12th. And then whoever wins that tourney is going to be coming down to the Costa Rica Poker Open for an amazing week at the end of January. Hammer and myself are already confirmed. Would love to see you join us. So tonight, your first chance to qualify, 8 p.m. it gets going. Again, if you haven't played with us before, you head over to coolbet.com. Click on poker. I like to play on my desktop, so I just downloaded the poker app. You can play on your phone. I think a lot of people do. I definitely prefer to do it on the desktop. So anyways, once you got it downloaded, go into tourneys, and then you'll see a little magnifying glass. You can search. Just put in WST. It'll pop up. The one you're looking for actually says December 11th, 3 o'clock. That translates to tonight, 8 p.m. Central Time. So get in, join us. Good luck. And if you're top 4, we'll be seeing you on January 12th. Other 2 dates, if you can't make it tonight or you just want to mark it down, the other 2 qualifier dates, Monday, December 22nd, and Wednesday, January 7th. Top 4 from all 3 of those tourneys will go into the final, and then January 12th will be the date, which is 2 weeks away from being wheels up to Costa Rica for the Poker Festival. And the grand prize includes your airfare, your hotel at the very nice Sheraton San Jose, which is adjacent to the area that the big poker tourney is, and a buy-in taking care of, $550 USD for the main event. Main event's guaranteed $100,000 US. I was just going back into my notes and some videos from last year's event. The final prize pool was $285,000 US. So a lot of money on the line, but should be a lot of fun. The tournaments have been such a great time for WSTers. Hopefully we'll see it tonight. Tell any friends that would be interested. Now's a great time to get in, considering that carrot of the Costa Rica trip in the finals on the 12th. So hopefully we'll see you all tonight. Spread the word. Let's go, and good luck on the bounties tonight as well. As far as the Coolbet lines go over in the sports book, we got 4 games tonight. All pretty short lines. The Rangers are in Chi-Town to take on the Blackhawks. The Rangers a minus 141 favorite. The Blackhawks at plus 120. We've got the Detroit Red Wings coming off that shutout in Vancouver. They're taking on the Flames. This is a pick'em, a straight up pick'em at minus 109 on either side. Another really tight line is the Panthers in Utah to take on the Mammoth. Panthers, the slightest of favorites, minus 111 for Florida, minus 105 for the Utah Mammoth. And the LA Kings taking on the struggling Seattle Kraken. Kraken are one of those teams in that mushy middle where the Jets are, all around that playoff line. I think Jet fans will be cheering for the Kings tonight. I know that the Flames' backup's been really good. He's playing again tonight. It will be no Dustin Wolf. But I kind of like Detroit in this one tonight. I do like LA to keep things rolling against the struggling Kraken Ream. I have a tough time figuring out this Florida-Utah game, but Florida's going to have to start winning some games. I mean, they're right down there near the bottom of the Eastern Conference as well, and I know there's still a lot of time. They got a lot of championship ID in that room, but maybe we'll roll with the Panthers too. It would be a fun game to cheer for as well, because obviously with Utah's situation, if you're a Jet fan, you're not really looking for Utah to get any points. What do you think about that? 3 roadies, Wings, Panthers, Kings tonight.
Yeah, I'm going to agree, but when you say, I'm taking 3 road teams, it's hard to feel good about it. But
it's true.
Utah, they're missing Logan Cooley. They are occupying that final wild card spot now. And I don't know if you've seen this, the Kings on the road, they score more goals, allow less. Listen to this. This is the Kings home road splits. This will make you feel good. Kings at home, 4-6-3. Kings on the road, 10-2-4. Isn't that crazy? So I do like the Kings. I think Florida seems good. Wings feels pretty. It all feels good, but I don't know. You don't like seeing 3 road teams on your ticket, but I'll still ride with it.
I was, that one we did yesterday was so damn close. We were thinking about those underdogs. They both hit. Boston won on the road at plus 110. Anaheim won in Pittsburgh at plus 102. And it was the damn Sens that lost at home. They were the one favorite we had on the card. They lost 4-3, so it was a close call. We'll see if we can get in the win column tonight. I'm just going to play that one right now. Plus 510. Panthers, Wings, and Kings. And, of course, on Friday, we'll be back in trying to build another winner like we had with the prop parlay last week. Jake, Pat, and myself coming up on Friday, 10 a.m., for another edition of WST Winners. Well, listen, it was a good game last night. It was better for the Jets. Didn't get the win, so it only counts for so much. But, Revo, tomorrow's going to be a good one. The lone visit of the year for the Boston Bruins. And I would say a very big opportunity for the Jets to try to not fall below 500, to get a big 2 points and build a little bit of momentum coming off the way they played at 5-on-5 against Dallas, heading into Nino Niederreiter's 1,000th game and a big Saturday night with the great Alex Ovechkin and the Caps coming to town on Saturday.
Yeah, Ken Wiebe in his article or column in the Free Press called this must-win territory. You've been home for a while. They had their first game. They played well. Time to build on that and put together an ace performance on Thursday night against Boston and get a little revenge on the Capitals, who had their number, a couple weeks ago at home, and Ottawa, who's, I think, kind of struggling as of late, Huss. On Monday, that is an Amazon Prime game. Ottawa, 3-game losing streak for the Sens right now. We'll see how, what they come in on Monday, but this is the Jets' opportunity to keep pace here. I mean, we talk about them playing, not so great. They're only 2 points out of a playoff spot with 2 games in hand on Utah, San Jose. They played the same as Chicago, so I think they actually are still in a good spot. It's you're kind of living and dying game to game. I was looking at Dom from The Athletic. He had them a 50% chance to make the playoffs, and they're certainly right there. And with the MVP coming back, they'll put themselves in a good situation.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the at the list of the teams, like from the wild card and below, nobody's on a winning streak. I mean, the biggest winning streak of teams outside of the top 3 in each division is the Calgary Flames, and they're 7-2-1 in their last 10, which is basically right there with the Minnesota Wild, better than anybody in the Pacific Division. But as far as, and again, teams have had different number of games played. The Jets have 29, Utah's at 31. Edmonton's 2 games above 500, 13-11-6. Utah is in that second wild card spot at 500, 14-14-3. The Sharks are 14-14-3. The Jets are 14-14-1. The Blackhawks 1 game above 500 at 12-11-6. St. Louis 2 below, and the Kraken, who were 11-5-6, they've lost 6 in a row right now, and they've dropped to just 1 game above 500. And then you got Calgary -3, Nashville -3, and the Vancouver Canucks -5. So nobody running away with anything right now in the wild cards, but a big gap between Minnesota in that 3rd spot at 37 and Winnipeg at 29 right now. Maybe they can get a bit of a run, build off last night, get a win. Just find a way to win a hockey game and, get another couple more sleeps towards the return of MVP Connor Hellebuyck. That is going to do it for us today, gang. A great show, fun Olympic conversation with Matty Hollywood. If you missed it earlier today on the program, definitely check that out. Great stuff from Connor Hrabchak down at the rink, Ken Wiebe, and of course John Hodge. Fun conversation on last night's game with Remis, and of course some clips from Gary Bettman. All there if you joined in late. All there for you on the YouTube channel. And of course, shout out to all our podcast listeners for making us a part of your day. And a huge thanks to the WST sponsors that make the show happen. For Michael Remis, I'm Andrew Paterson. Hope to see many of you today. Coolbet, 8 p.m. for the first Costa Rica qualifier poker tourney. Should be a lot of fun. And you will definitely be able to find us tomorrow, 1 p.m. with a game day edition. Jets Bruins coming up tomorrow on WST. And make sure you're paying attention to all of our social channels. Connor's got lots coming up from the morning skate tomorrow before the program gets going at 1 p.m. For Michael Remis, Connor Hrabchak, Andrew Paterson here. Have a great night. Good luck in the poker tourney, and we'll see you tomorrow at 1 for a game day edition of Winnipeg Sports Talk.
Oh, my God! Oh! Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.